It has been too long since we have heard that. What is going on, Arvanauts? Welcome, everybody, to a Saturday stream. Welcome to 7:45 p.m. Eastern, roughly speaking. And welcome, most importantly, to day 23 of Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. This is Shadows in Twilight. It is great to see everyone. We are sponsored, as always, by Alligator Alley Entertainment. Thanks to them. And thank you to all of you for being here for this amazing, awesome game. Before we go any further, just a couple of ways to support us on the channel. If you have not done so already, please follow us here on the channel. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube. And if you're watching over there right now on the YouTube channel where I'm streaming live, welcome. Please consider subbing to us not just there, but also coming over to our Twitch channel where you can hang out and watch us with the rest of the crew over on Twitch as we stream this live. !ArvCord is our Discord channel where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. And I always post on Twitter and Blue Sky, !ArvTweets and !ArvSky. Website is arvanelaron.com. Financially, !ArvShop is the merchandise area. You can get a lot of stuff there, including soon Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks material. We've got some merchandise coming up pretty soon over here. !ArvTrayon is the Patreon. We're really trying to build that back up. That is what made it possible for me to pay for the music that you just heard, the video that you just heard. But it does cost something to do it. And so any support that people can give is very much appreciated. Plus, you can get cool stuff for yourself and cool stuff for the channel as well on individual goals and the like. So please consider joining us for that. That would be lovely if you could do that. Same thing with subbing or resubbing to the channel. That also is really helpful. And you can also get those custom sub badges and emotes to use here, there, and everywhere across Twitch. Plus inspirations to help our players both with that and with the Patreon. On the publishing side, !Icarus for my graphic novel from Athos Arts, !Library for my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. That's my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment. And !Greyshade. Greyshade and Renegade are the first two books in the Grey Assassin trilogy. You can get those right now at that link. You can also get the audiobook of Greyshade done by our very own Trent Sparks right there at that link. You can also pre-order the tabletop role-playing game of Greyshade, again from Alligator Alley Entertainment. You can pre-order that. That is going to be coming out late this year. Brandon O'Brien and Alligator Alley doing that one. And the final book in the Grey Assassin trilogy called Heretic, which I'm just about to send off in the next few days to my editor. That is going to be coming out in the summer of this year. So you can pre-order that, and pre-orders are life, pre-orders are love. So please consider doing that. That would be very much appreciated. And if you have not already done so, please consider some of the causes we support here. !BLM, Black Lives Matter, important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. !Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. And !Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the people of Ukraine as we pass the 2-year anniversary of the illegal and illegitimate invasion of the Ukraine. Very important to reach out to those folks and support them. And you can do that and send the message that we will support not only the Ukrainians, but also support others in this situation in the future. Quick note on scheduling. We will be having Expedition for the Mysterious Peaks tonight. We will be off Sunday and Monday. We will be back on Tuesday with the Patreon Field Chat Chosen Game of the Month of Kinseed. And then I will be over on D&D. I'll be over on the GOG Comms Twitch channel to play some Talisman Adventures, which would be a good time. And that should be just about wrapping up, if I'm not mistaken, the month of February, because next after that is going to be, I guess there'll be one more, which is February 29th. And during that, we will be probably finishing up Chants of Sennar, because after that, we move into Final Fantasy VII and the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I am very excited for. It's going to be a good time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But I'm also really looking forward to tonight. And so I'm going to unmute myself so the folks know we're ready to go. And I apologize for whoever I interrupted because I couldn't hear them. And then I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to head over to reveal to you the crew, which is with us. We have a full and prepared crew ready to go and not at all concerned about alarms going off right now. I will start with
we're talking about the Super Bowl.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, then,
Yeah.
I mean, that's that. Well, geez, I mean, listen, anything that stopped, anything that was able to make the quarterback for the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, be one step closer to creating an image where Tom Brady is no longer put in the conversation as the automatic greatest of all time is a good thing for someone like me who has disliked the Patriots for many years. So that was good. That was great. Plus also, uh, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce irritate conservatives. So it was all good. I loved
Let
it. That
him
was
do
all.
it.
That was
Let
all
him do
good.
it another 15 years, and we can actually have a conversation
Oh,
about
oh,
that.
geez, Toya. Fine, fine, fine. Anyway, top left of the square is, of course, the awesome Johnny Pippin. Johnny, it's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. How is life in the universe with you, and who you playing tonight?
Life Universe and everything is great. I am currently, migrating back and forth between 3 or 4 locations right now on the East Coast in large preparation for doing, let's see. I'm going to be moving back to the West Coast, I believe at the end of March or early April, depending upon what the timing is. I am also going to be in New York to help my kid move from Washington Heights to Inwood, which is, I guess, the northern part of
Yep,
Manhattan,
I
which
know
is
Wynwood very well. Yep, used to live near there.
it's a neat neighborhood. Apparently, I haven't been there yet, but they've decided to do this before we actually head back to the West Coast. So now we're getting caught up in another move, and we're helping some friends in Yorktown. We're all over. We're all over the East Coast right now. So Greg, we're gonna have to come and say hello at some point
Yeah,
before we leave this place.
you
So
might need to park here if you want to actually move anyone in Inwood. Just to be clear, parking there is not so hot.
yeah, no kidding.
It's Inwood's parking is a nightmare. But Inwood's a really nice neighborhood, though. Yes, I would love to do that for sure. And so I'm glad to hear that you're moving around, but everything is okay otherwise.
Everything is great, and I am playing Titus Littlefoot, a Zach engineer who I still need to figure out the lasting effect of something I did last session. So
Yes.
I'm done with that. I'm done with my intro, and I'm going to go do that now. So
Okay,
thanks.
that sounds good. Always a pleasure to have Johnny with us. It is also a pleasure to have someone who really does not need to drop truth telling about Tom Brady's statistics. Okay, that was not needed and unnecessary. No, that of course is Toya Kristen Finley. It is good to see you, Toya. How is everything with you? How is life and the universe in your neck of the woods? And who are you playing today? Oh, muted, I think.
You are correct. I was saying I'm never quite sure how to answer that question because I don't do a whole lot of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I travel a little bit, not nearly as much as Mr. Pittman here, but uh, things are good. Things are good. The whole work situation is much better than it has been
Good.
because most of 2023 was extremely dry. Um, I am playing Knowles Darkly, who is a bard. What was you asked me something else?
No, just who are you playing tonight, and how are things treating you? And I'm glad to hear about things on the work front.
Yes.
And this also one other segue that you will see. I don't know if Johnny will be there, but I know that both Toya and the person I'm about to introduce next are going to be along with me at Gen Con in August at the Writer Symposium. And so that is, folks, if folks want to see us in person and you're like, how do I find these wonderful people? You can find them all over, but one place you can find us, at least a few of us, is at Gen Con. And it's a pleasure to have Toya with us here tonight. It's also a pleasure to have, as I say, the other person who I know will be with us at Gen Con, and that's Kat Rambo. Good to see you, Kat. How is life treating you these days? How are you doing? And who are you playing today?
Life is pretty good. I'm headed off to Florida next month for a weekend for ICFA, so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. But also looking forward tremendously to Gen Con, of course. And I am running Fob, a lizard folk rogue with a great many knives.
Yes, with a great many knives who tasted their own mortality briefly last time.
Yes. Oh, God, yeah.
It was, which is not something we're used to seeing from Fob. But yeah, it was something.
Shit
But
got real.
yep, it did. But everyone survived. Everyone made it through. Until the klaxons went off. It was all good. It's always a pleasure to have Kat with us. It's also a pleasure to have Zach Clay with us again. Last time I saw you in person, Zach, at least as far as this campaign is concerned. You were sitting right next to me. But now, instead of you, I have two cats, one up in a cat tree and one cat lying on the ground. Both chat and the players need to know again that the cats are deeply concerned for your welfare, and that is why they are fast asleep, no doubt in the midst of nightmares about what may or may not happen to you. So just keep that in mind. Their concern is evident. Zach, how are you doing? How's life in the universe with you, and who are you playing tonight?
Life in the universe is good. I am preparing for a trip out to Vegas next week. I have family that's out there, and it's a bit of a family trip. And then otherwise, just doing my Dungeons and Dragons work, and that involves tomorrow, ferrying into San Francisco as I do every Sunday, and running our kids program. And those little hooligans, I love them, but they, oh man, I have been telling some people the story of how, I run D&D for 8 to 12-year-olds in this program, just San Franciscan kids that come into the library. And sometimes they actually have an NPC who's the wizard who like lives in their home base and takes care of their home base while they're out doing adventures.
Okay.
And so these 9-year-olds on average decided that they wanted to sue the wizard because he wasn't giving them enough gold and treasure rewards for completing their quests. So as I had
They sound
played
like smart kids to me.
Yeah, they are.
They sound like 2024 kids to me.
And so as I am also known on this channel for taking part in the Ace Attorney series on our vocalists.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys want a court case drama? Let's do it. And so I, smash cut to all of them in a courtroom, and we played out the second half of our D&D session was the suing of the wizard patron who wasn't giving them enough gold. So that's what I have to deal with every Sunday. It's wonderful and crazy, and I don't ever know what to expect.
Well,
but...
listen, let's not bury the lead. Did they win the lawsuit?
Oh yeah, they won the lawsuit.
Okay, that's what's important here.
They got a payout of 100 platinum each, and also because of events.
Jesus,
recently,
was this guy Fagin? What was he doing to them before? Good God.
Yeah. So no, they won. They won. They I received a very convincing case from one of the impromptu lawyers. So it was it happened. But anyway, that's D&D adjacent, and tonight we're D&D adjacent as well as Esper Genesis adjacent, especially myself. I'm playing Dr. Kilden Jaraxus, a Dendis cybermancer who may or may not have just tampered with something inside a constabulary and triggered an alarm that he was not aware of.
It might have happened. It is conceivable. Let's fire up the music and talk a little bit very briefly about what happened in our last session. As a reminder to everybody in chat, remember that the crew is down here in the veiled realm known as Celis. They came here originally in the hope that Elu Whisperwind could get some help from her mother and the people of Celis against what's going on with the possibly insane Primarch in Camria up top, and gather information about, and sort of allies to help against that. But it turns out Celis had their own problems. No one could have predicted that it wouldn't be that easy. When they got here, what they discovered was that, yeah, I'm going to talk about the Popo being notified about this in a bit, Proxima. When we got there, what they found is that a number of the people in Celis, including members of perhaps Elu's own family, had disappeared. And no one can explain these disappearances. It's only recently that there has been more sort of public acknowledgement that something is seriously wrong and that they need to find out what it is. And so the party has engaged in a whole series of investigations, I think might be the way to put it. They have been to the constabulary where they had a chance to speak to one Bramblestalk, the sort of constable of the area, who was somewhat evasive, but told them that, that there were some concerns, but they were working on it and not to worry about it, and, sort of patted them on the head and sent them on their way. But the party was not satisfied with that and would end up returning to the constabulary, about which more in a moment. The party has also been to find where one of the missing people, Nialestri, spent much of her time, and that was with this kind of artists community near Lakeside Park. The party went and talked to a few of the artists there, and Jaraxus ended up commissioning a statue to be made of him. Just wanted to throw that out there. But in addition, the party ended up discovering that Nialestri had been interested in possibly becoming involved with being a spirit caller, which is a special thing down here, apparently, that many in Celis have actually engaged in before. And this isn't the first time that they've heard reference to this. There have been multiple references now in their investigations to these spirit callers and to a place known as the Sanctum of Spirits, which is where several people, where the people who are going to become spirit callers basically go there first. And so the party was aware of that, but the party has attracted another kind of attention. They were attacked by a group of assassins, and they didn't survive that by much. They did survive it, but it was a near thing. Two of them, Knowles and Fob, both went down during that combat and were knocked unconscious and had to make death saves and all that kind of good stuff. Titus and Jaraxxus fortunately made some clutch maneuvers. Also, the direwolf Gamork was helpful, even though Gamork too was hurt quite a bit. And so the party is in a bit of an injured state, and after having defeated the assassins, they decided they had to go back to the constabulary because they felt that there was more information that Bramblestalk had not given them. Bramblestalk was not there, but his journal was, and inside the journal, they discovered a page which read, "Being followed again, strange magic, not palace spies, maybe spirit callers. Contact Shaenan," was the name, Shaenan, "as soon as possible." And then on the right page, a note that read, "Guests of the lady could be dangerous or in danger. Trust but with caution." And that followed the information that the characters themselves had given to Bramblestalk. So they know that Bramblestalk apparently thinks they might be dangerous or maybe in danger. And they also know that this Shaenan, again, at the Sanctum of Spirits, is there. The party also considered the possibility of going to Nialestri's home. That's another option that the party considered as well. But before they decided to do any of this, Dr. Jaraxxus thought that he would go up and take a look at what looked like a very odd device in the corner of the room, perhaps suspecting it might be a surveillance device of some kind, fiddled with it a bit, after which we got the sound of whoop, whoop, a klaxon signal going off, an alarm going off inside the constabulary, and Fob hearing outside in the city, it's also going on outside there, sort of echoing through the streets. And so with that, I'm going to hand things back over to the party. I am going to say hi to Hilnis, Critchwitch, and Divinorium who've stopped by. Hello, everyone. And I'm going to now hand things back over to the party and remind them the klaxon has been going off now for about 10 seconds. What would the party like to do? Whoop,
Can
whoop.
anybody cloak us?
I can cloak one of us.
I can do the opposite of that. I can make 3 copies of myself.
Okay. I don't think we can run exactly, but I would suggest cloaking Gamork so he can get back to Elohuz and alert her mom, because her mom's a druid and Gamork can talk to her.
Reminder though, Knowles, you would know that Elu was not allegedly
Elu,
there.
yeah.
Remember, but no,
Right.
but her and her mother are currently visiting the palace. Just so you know, I mean, you could still do that. I'm just letting you know that they they told you they were visiting the Primarchs.
So, yeah, okay, can't send him there. What's the name of their sprite?
It is
Rel.
Rel.
Got it.
I was like L, Zell, Rel. Rel.
So I suppose then he could get to Rel, and I mean, they maybe not necessarily communicate with her, but she would know something's going on.
Fob, make a perception check for me, please.
All right. I'm also gonna hide when I get the chance.
I assumed that was happening.
20.
Yeah. You see outside, sort of a little ways down the street, you can see several what look like tall and cloaked. They look like the same kind of night Twilight elf guards you saw when you first arrived here, hustling up the street in the direction of the constabulary.
And I say incoming Twilight elves and then disappear.
Okay.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send... Right. Yeah. Well, no, never mind. I'm not going to do that. I only have 2 slots there left. I am going to cast Blade Ward on myself.
Ooh, good
Okay.
one.
Mhm.
Okay, Titus, Jaraxxus, what about you? Or rather, what about whoop, whoop?
Mhm. Is Gamork outside? I'm assuming he couldn't
Gamork
come
was
in.
literally right inside the door. So like at the moment is just there and is growling, has been growling since this alarm started going off.
Jaraxxus says, "Well, we haven't done anything wrong. We will say that we needed to leave a message for the constable, which is true, and the door was unlocked, so we came in. And then alarms started going off, and we're confused. Let's play as being confused. I may or may not have touched whatever that is, but we should be fine."
Fob, they're
Go
going to be
for
at the
it,
stairs
buddy.
in a minute.
I'm hiding.
Okay.
Titus says to Jaraxxus, curiosity. Yeah, that's an angle that's gonna work. Let's go with that.
Jaraxxus says, "I can't tell if you're being sarcastic. Do you have another suggestion, or do you think it's going to work or no? I need your support, Titus."
You've known me long enough. And that's all he says. He turns around.
By this point, the
Uh,
guard has reached the bottom of the stairs and is coming up. I should ask Fob, you're hiding like right inside the place or right outside the place?
Right outside.
Okay. So then they
Wherever, unless one is markedly better covered than the other.
I mean, there's different things you could try to get cover from either way, but the inside's a lot smaller. So
No, I'm going to go with the outside.
Okay, so you have the uncomfortable experience of standing as the guards pass right by you, taking no notice of you, presumably because they're not paying attention to you. They don't see you there, but are also not expecting anyone outside. They go inside. So Gamork right now is just sort of standing there inside the door, I believe. Then that would be the
Yeah.
case.
Yeah.
So the guards come in, and there are about 4 of them. As they sort of come in, they say, "Everyone stay exactly where they are." And the one takes his staff, and it's basically a staff spear. He's got a blade at the end of it. And he reaches up and he taps the thing in the corner, and immediately the whoop stops. And he pulls it back down. And Jaraxxus, you might have noticed a slight, maybe electrical surge or something when he tapped it with his staff, possibly. And he says, "All right, explain yourself. Who's been disturbing the constable's work here?"
And Jaraxxus will step forward and say, please forgive us. We are visitors from outside the city, as you may be able to tell. I am Keldon Jaraxxus, and we came to deliver a message to the constable. The door was unlocked. We entered inside, and then this alarm started to go off, and we got the impression maybe we weren't welcome. And then now you're here saying that we're not welcome. So I think we are all in understanding.
And the guard says, "You didn't touch anything before the alarm went off?"
No.
His eyes narrow. The other 3, 2 of them go over towards Gamork and are standing there. And Gamork is kind of growling, looking up at them. They are doing the equivalent of, they're not growling, but if they were dire wolves, you get the suspicion they'd be doing that down at Gamork. There is some tension between the 2 guards and Gamork there. And the last one goes over to, so the one that's been eyes narrowed looking at you, Jaraxxus. Last one goes over to Titus, you, and to Nalls and says, "And do you support this story of his? None of you touched anything before this happened?"
Yes, we're just waiting for the constable. If you know where he is, we really need to speak to him.
The constable is out, and there was a sign on the outside saying that he was out.
There was a sign when we came by maybe 15, 20 minutes ago, and we didn't enter. But then as we came back, the sign was gone this time.
Okay, make an insight check for me, please, Jaraxxus, because the guard looks back at the other one that first spoke to you.
Okay.
So,
How about a very confident 6?
yeah, I mean, listen, the guards are clearly exchanging that guard glance that only guards do.
Got it. Yeah.
And he says, and kind of looks at you and then says, so you're claiming you walked in here, touched nothing, an alarm randomly went off, and then we arrived, and that's all that's happened.
Okay. I might be a little nervous. I'm sorry. I was just genuinely curious as to what that thing in the ceiling was, and so I just touched it. That is all I did. I've never seen anything like it, and I am just so enamored with everything in this city. I was like, does this drop a treat for me, or is it
A treat? Are
It
you a
is
rat?
quite amazing.
Or a
Like
mouse?
those trees. The trees. They also drop trees.
right? There are trees that you simply think of what you'd like, and then they create a special nut that tastes just like it. And I was wondering if this is the same. I've never been here. I'm sorry.
Everything here is quite miraculous.
An
What does that do?
An uneasy, heavy silence falls on the room, and the gaze of the two guards who have spoken so far bore into you. And then one says, you realize that to reach that, you would have had to either stand taller than it appears you are, or to somehow get up onto something to do it. Also, you were hoping for a treat.
Look, life is too short not to hope for treats.
Deception
And you
check,
have been so
please.
very hospitable since
Okay.
we've been here.
I will do the deception check. I will give you +1 for Nulls'
Yes.
helpful additions.
Thank you, Knowles, for your helpful additions. Natural 20.
Wow. you have no insight at all, but man, can you lie when you need to. So
Hell yeah.
so they kind of and sort of like kind of purse their lips, and then we had been told that strangers have come to Celis, and that we are to give them basic courtesies, but that does not involve setting off alarm systems. Let me explain to you that if you wish to be a scientific experiment again, you can do it elsewhere. There are no treats that fall out of mysterious devices. This is a surveillance device, and it's done the job clearly. It's fortunate for you that it was not recording at the time, or we might know for sure exactly what happened in here. But since you are claiming that nothing happened intentionally, we'll let it pass. Be aware you don't get another one of these. If something goes off and you accidentally touch something, you can end up being just like the rats you were pretending to be before, in a cage. I make myself clear?
Yes, and I guess we'll be going. And could you let the good constable know that we've been looking for him?
And the guard sort of nods. And then as you're about to turn to leave, the two guards that have been standing by Gamork, one of them says, "Not this, though." And the other guard sort of looks over, and the one who just spoke says, "You can't have something like this roaming around the city. It's going to panic the populace. They should never have let him through in the first place." And Gamork is like,
We have been going around the city all day, and we've just gotten a few stares. No one's panicked at all.
"You wouldn't know, but there have already been reports of a dangerous wolf that was wandering around the city without leave. That is as far as the fine people of Celis are known to panic, and that's more than we usually get. This one, perhaps, can be kept locked up until we've had an opportunity to assess the danger here."
What is Elu's mother's name again?
It is... Now I got me confused because
Race
of Rel.
What is it?
It is... It is Levia.
Levia.
Levia. Yep.
Lady Levia will attest for the direwolf here. She has spoken with him and tested his character and found it to be true.
And the guards. Now, when you say Levia, you don't need an insight check to see that both of them are like. They kind of clearly react and.
Yeah, Jaraxus gestures to the tabard that he chose to wear at the start of this day, which has the Whisperwind crest on it.
Yeah. And they kind of look down at the crest and then look over at the other guards that had been talking to you previously. And the guards sort of nod slowly. And the guard who first said this one can't go shakes his head and says, "This is a bad business. Fine, you can go out with him. But if he is found anywhere in the city on his own, we're not going to be responsible for what happens next."
That's totally fine. I do have a question. Are you all from the Sanctum of Spirits?
And the first guard, like, shakes his head. "No, we serve the city. We are the city guard. The Sanctum of Spirits has its own rules."
I see. What is, as we are from out of the city, I want to make sure that I'm not being disrespectful or otherwise creating intrusion, which it seems we've already done, but this is this is a surveillance device. Device is what you said. I've been told that certain kinds of technology are not accepted in the city, and so I'm curious what the difference is here.
This is magically infused. It's magically generated and magically developed. It is not, and the guard's eyes flicker over to the modified Gmork, technologically oriented.
Well, one reason why the wolf is with us is because we're trying to find out who technologically did this to him. Because clearly, it's abominable.
And Gmork... he says, "You would think that would mean he would be left in some safe cage while you did your experiments and research elsewhere. That said, as we said, you can be on your way with this thing, but you're answerable for him and your own conduct." Actually, he wouldn't say him, he would say it. "You're answerable for it and your own conduct, and I would suggest not touching any devices about which you are curious, and again, none of them produce bits of cheese."
Right. One last thing Jaraxus wants to do before they leave is, if he can, get a really good look at the staff that this guy used to deactivate the thing.
Okay.
I have the talent analyze device, but it requires me to touch the staff, and
how could that go badly?
That.
I certainly won't touch it.
That.
Touch.
Definitely not going to try that. But I don't know if this could be I know in D&D it would be an Arcana check, and I have instead, I don't know what the equivalent would be. I'm proficient in astrophysics and computers, or lore, but anyway, the thing I'm curious about is I saw this interaction between the tip of the staff and the device to deactivate it, and I want to understand what energy that is and see if I can recreate it somehow.
I would say that would probably be, you have two options. One, I would say you could do a mechanics check, which might give you a little bit of a sense of what was mechanically happening between staff and device. Although you're going to do it at a disadvantage because you only saw it from a distance and obviously you didn't analyze it yourself. Or you can try to do a sleight of hand and touch the staff without him noticing. And then if you do, you can do this talent. If he notices you, though, all bets are off. So,
me with my opposite.
And there you have 3 party members who are very, very injured.
No, I don't want to trigger a fight. And analyze device requires me to touch the thing for 1 minute straight. So,
that's
not sure how I'll pull that off.
Yeah, no.
So I'll just do a little mechanics from a distance.
Okay.
That'll
be a disadvantage minus an inspiration if anyone has any in
Right.
chat that they would like to give. Oh, and also now that we have some more people who have stopped by, remember any cheers that are done in chat today are going to go to the benefit of our players. So please, if you wish to cheer, remember, I don't mean like, I'm sure you also wish to cheer unofficially, but if you wish to officially cheer using the cheer command in Twitch, you can also benefit the players if you do that. But yes, otherwise we have inspirations that people could use as well if you would like.
Mechanics is wisdom based. Is there any way I could use my intelligence for this and just make a flat intelligence disadvantage roll? Because Arcana would be intelligence, arguably. Which it is interesting that mechanics is wisdom. That's actually first
Yeah,
time I
that
realized
is
but-
interesting. I agree.
But I guess it's the same reason medicine is wisdom. Like, doesn't
Yeah,
matter
but
what
there's
knowledge,
so
knowledge you have,
computers
it's
is
the application of it.
intelligence.
Computers
Yes,
is
intelligence,
intelligence.
and
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a lot like Arcana in some ways, if you think about from a coding perspective or programming perspective.
It's up to you. I only have a plus. Part of it's only have a +2 to wisdom.
I
But
mean, the
Draxus is very intelligent.
Actually, I think wisdom here, because the thing is, if you were doing an investigation check, obviously that's intelligence based, and that would make a lot of sense. The problem is that to do an investigation check, you've got to be up closer than that. This was sort of a
Okay.
quick kind of, wisdom actually in a way might almost work in the sense of like if you can recognize what it is that you just saw,
Yeah.
which sort
All
of
right.
be the impression.
Here we go. Okay. Be
13.
higher. Good. 13.
Okay.
Not terrible.
The one thing that you don't know what the energy was exactly. It was kind of bluish, purplish. But you do know that the energy was from the blade portion of the staff, not the staff itself. And you know that it seemed to respond like the whatever this thing is that it tapped, that the energy was coming both from the staff and from it. So whatever this was, it was as if they exchanged, information or something like that in this very brief period of time. Also,
Okay.
one thing you can say, Jaraxxus, the idea that this was magically infused is a bunch of bullshit. It may very well be
Interesting.
that there was magic infused as a part of it. That probably is the case, in fact. But unless, you don't know a lot about magic because you're a science person who has only just started to learn about this world. But you've seen before energy transfer, and that's what this was. If that's what they're calling magic, then
Does it remind me of like Sorium at all?
no, it would have a different no, it would be stronger than that. But it does remind you of things that you've seen shipboard, for sure,
Okay.
in terms of energy transfer and exchange.
Okay.
And yeah,
All right. That's all. And Draxus will look at the others and say, "All right. Sorry for the trouble." And he'll look ready to go.
Zach?
Yep.
Is Jaraxxus' recording device going?
Yeah. The theory is that I have, so recording unit is an item in the game, and it's a part of my little head piece that I have. And as previously established, I'm able to record clandestinely without any visual doing so. So I'm assuming pretty much I'm recording at all times.
And the other question I have is, was there any outward indication about you trying to figure out what that electronic interaction was? Would any of the other or the rest of the party know that you were doing something in trying to figure out the
Yeah,
interaction?
I'd probably be. I mean, you saw me touch it to start with, and then I'd probably be looking at it and then the staff, and so yeah, I'd kind of give you a knowing look.
Okay. All right, cool. Thanks.
okay. So the rest of you can depart if you wish. The guards move out of your way to allow it to do it. Although it's very clear that you will be departing before they do. Like they're sort of standing, waiting for you to leave.
Well, I am leaving.
Okay.
Yeah. head down. I don't know about Fob.
I was just about to ask
Yeah,
whether
how's
Fob
Fob
is
getting out of there?
I
Well,
will
Fob's outside, so.
unobtrusively sort of fall into step with them, and so like suddenly like I'm not there, and then suddenly they look around and I'm standing right beside them.
I love it. Okay. And you're able to walk off down the street, which I guess leads to the question of where you're going to go. I'm going to move us over to the map here. Right
Well,
now.
I'm going to throw out a
yeah.
suggestion.
Yeah, sure.
We need to find Rel, because Rel can actually heal Null's, Fob, and Gamork.
Yeah, I think healing or short rest, or at least something needs to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, let's take a short rest. And then yeah, we could check in back at the Whisperwind estate, because it really sounds like the next places we need to go is either what's her name's house, Elu's sister's place,
Which is
or-
here, by the way, that I just pinged.
Yep, or the Spirit Caller's place.
And that is here.
So
Yeah, it's
both
farther
westerly.
yeah.
So we could, and number one is the manor. So we could just walk back to the manor, chill there, short
I think
rest.
that would be a really good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, I mean, if we do find Rel, we can do a slight debriefing.
Yep.
It's good.
Okay. All right, you're able to make your way up without too much difficulty. You notice that, by the way, that as you go back up towards the Whisperwind estate, which is on the shore, or on the manor, I should say, which is on the shores of Moonshadow Lake, but is also up a little bit, kind of looking down on the lake and the rest of the town below. You are able to walk past or nearby this, which is the Palace of the Primarchs. And as you're sort of crossing over the bridge to head towards Whisperwind, which is right around here, you can see that there is what looks like a fairly sizable line that's built up, extending from the palace sort of outwards down here towards like the center of the city. You'd have to go a lot closer and start interacting with the people, but you don't need to like do that to know that there's a whole group of people that look like, petitioners, something like that, because you were told, remember, by Elu, that, and I think by Rel as well, that people come every day to try to talk to the Primarch about like different issues that they're having, and then they're let in over time. You don't know whether this is a normal amount of waiting or what, but there's definitely a number of people there. So if Elu and her mother are with the Primarch or trying to get in there, it looks like it's going to be a while.
Okay.
Otherwise, though, you're able to get up to
yeah.
the manor with no difficulty.
Is it too much of a detour to go to the closest part of the line and check if people are there for the same reason?
You could probably take a side note. I mean, there are guards that are positioned every, I don't know, maybe 100, 150 feet along the line.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We've already kind of caused some trouble, and we have a giant wolf with us. Maybe we shouldn't go poking around people in a big line. So, okay, yeah, I think unless otherwise we go back to
Okay.
the estate.
All right, so you were able to get up to the estate. When you get there, you notice that it is, for the most part, fairly empty. You do not, at least immediately, see either Rel, and you also do not see either Elu or her mother. Your area, though, the near the gazebo, basically, that you were all staying in your cabin, does look to have been already cleaned, though. It seems like your beds have been made up, and everything looks kind of fresh, refreshed, and new.
Very nice.
I am going to approach one of the trees.
Okay.
And how am I going to put this? What nourishment have you for healing?
And there is this sort of long pause. And then, Nulls, you get this sort of uncomfortable sensation of something kind of like something behind you. And it turns out that a branch has lowered down to you. And it has a what looks like a large succulent yellow fruit. that is hanging. It has like kind of a fuzzy skin, like in our world, like a peach, but bigger.
And Knowles takes the peach and eats the peach.
Okay.
Or whatever it is.
So what this will do is this is going to give you a bonus. So the way that, as you may remember, the way you do hit dice is that when you do a short rest, you roll a number of hit dice, and hit dice are the things you use to establish your hit points every time you go up a level. You have at level 4 of those hit dice to use during short rests. But typically you roll the hit dice. What the peach does is it allows you to maximize one of those hit dice. So one of them will automatically be maximum when you use it.
Okay, so I'm looking at the short rest kind of mini menu here.
Yep.
So how do I put the maximum on there?
So,
I
yeah,
can
but
show
go
you.
ahead. You're
If
the
it's on
D&D Beyond
D&D
guru.
Beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and I guess can we start a
Yeah,
a
you
short
can all
rest?
do that. So you can all do the
Okay.
short rest. You're not going to be disturbed here, quite clearly. So again, reminder to chat and everybody else: when a short rest happens, characters can spend one or more of their remaining hit dice to boost their hit points levels.
Okay.
So Fob has got an extra
So-
4. How many of those did you have left? Hit dice do you have left, Kat? Fob have?
According to my character sheet, I have 15 out of 25 hit points right now.
No, I mean,
No?
I meant how many hit dice, like hit
I put
dice, do you
2
have
in.
to use? Oh, you put 2 in. Okay, so you have 2 more still left.
Yes.
Okay. All right. You only rolled a
Oh.
4.
Yeah, you only rolled one hit die so far.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
then
I
I'll
see
roll-
one up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aha.
That's
And
why I
so,
was
yeah,
checking. I
it-
was like, wait.
It looks like when you hit the button, you choose how many you want to expend.
Yeah.
You could just I think it's trying to be convenient and like you choose how many you want to expend. Oh yeah, if you click multiple, it changes the equation like 2d8 plus 4.
Yeah,
or
because you definitely
3.
get your con mod on each die that's rolled. So
Yeah.
Let's. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to click. I've clicked 2 boxes, and I'm clicking
Okay.
roll hit dice,
Okay. So we'll just ignore the 4 then.
and that gives me
Um,
6. I don't know
oh.
if, why it's not.
Yeah, that's
working
weird.
as
It's
it
not
should.
rolling. Here,
Yeah.
let me try this as Nalik and see if it. Oh, hold on. I don't have the extension on. One moment.
your short rest expires. Damn it!
No! I've lost my opportunity. Okay.
If
So
not,
let
we can
me-
just stick with the 10. You know that
Mhm.
came out of those 2.
I'll stick
Alright,
with
so
that.
I'll try this as.
Okay. So then that gives you. So you're at 15 out of 20 slash 25. Actually, well, hold on a second. Because you were at 5 out of 20. I'm sorry. You were at 15 out of 25 bolstered, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, I think the temporary hit points had already gotten hit when I took a hit had gone away.
Oh, so the bolster, I didn't know if that happened. For some reason, I think I had it listed as coming after you had gone down. So
I don't remember. And also, it's not temporary hit points. It is
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
max increase, but it's confusing. Which
Okay.
I don't think I was hit by that because I think my
Right, you
max
weren't.
is the same. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so yeah, so what that basically just means is you are so you will have restored. You're at 15 out of 20.
I thought so I'm not at 15 out of 25 because when I look at it, it says max 25.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
bolster hasn't worn off yet.
right.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
right,
Okay.
so it's 15 out of 20, like at your base hit point level.
Okay.
So if it's for the if it's like using the bolster, then it would be you would get 10 points. So you'd be at what is like 20 out of 25. I guess is what that would be if you're counting the
if it
bolster.
isn't 15 plus 10 is 25, isn't it?
I guess it'd be maxed out. Yeah, I guess I'm not understanding my own math. I don't understand why you'd be 25 out of 25 bolstered, but only 15 out of 20, like underneath that if you weren't using the bolster. Never mind. Just do the 25 out of 25.
Okay.
I am clearly there's a reason I don't teach math.
That's not mathin'.
Okay,
and
so
then,
so
Toya,
25
you
out of
should-
25 then.
Yeah.
But when that
so
wears
Toya,
off, that will go to 20 out of 20 is what that would be.
Okay, when I open hit point management, I do see 20 there. So okay,
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
got it.
And then Toya, if you click short rest,
Yep.
and then you might want to do. Oh yeah, you have 36. God, you have a lot of health. You might want to do 3 of your dice. So I
Okay.
would fill 3 of the boxes, and then don't click the thing that says roll hit die. Click the thing that says 3d8 plus 6.
Okay.
3.
So
I
if you,
see. Oh, okay. I have. Okay.
Yeah.
Now here's the question: how do I add the bonus Greg was talking about?
I think that's
um,
probably automatically included, but you can check. It's the con mod for each of the dice that you roll. So whatever your con
but
modifier
no,
is, if any.
Toya's talking about the peach.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So
So-
that just maxes out one of those dice.
Yeah.
So
So in that case, you could choose to roll 2, and then you can manually add 10 hit points. Because
Okay. So I'm going to roll 2 and then add 10.
that's right.
Okay. Let's do this.
Oh wow.
So and then add 10. So I'm back to 36.
well, wait a minute. So if it's 2d8 plus 4 is what you theoretically could have had, that can't equal 25. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like in other words, you'd max out one of them. Your con mod is 2, right? Is that your con
Well, no.
modifier?
What Zach was saying is roll 2 of them and then add 10 because that's the bonus.
So the peach is going to deal maximum hit dice. So on a d8, 8, right?
Right, 8.
Plus 2.
Plus
so
2 is
she's
10.
going to get plus 10 no matter what, right?
Well, that's for one of the dice, right?
That's
10.
for one of the dice.
And then the other
she
dice,
rolled
whatever-
2d8 plus 4 and rolled 3 and 8. So that's 11. Plus 4 is 15. Plus 10 is
It's
25.
25.
So she rolled 3 dice.
Oh, you rolled
altogether.
3 dice. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
I see. Okay,
so
so
I'm maxed out now.
all right.
Yep.
Sounds good. All right. Okay, Titus, what about you? Did you do any of what have you
Yeah,
chosen to roll?
we
Oh,
were
right.
fine,
You
right, Titus?
neither of you were affected by that. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay. Is anyone going to
Titus
do any
specific things he
healing
wants to do.
of Gamork or not?
Is Gamork hurt?
Yeah. Gamork is yes, Gamork is hurt.
Yes, Gamork is hurt.
I was
So
about to tell you
can-
hit point totals. I'm like,
can
you don't even know
Gamork-
that.
so I'm going to go back to the tree. First of all, I'm going to gesture to Gamork and to the tree.
And Gamork is like, "Ugh," and kind of looks up at you and then looks at the tree.
And then I go over to the tree and I say, "This is a noble direwolf who has done great harm and needs his body restored."
Nothing happens.
Maybe Gamork has to do it himself.
And so I gesture to the tree.
And Gamork kind of like looks at you and looks at the tree and turns and walks away.
Okay. Diraxis says he knows we're resting. If he, licks his wounds literally or not, I guess that's up to him.
Can lead a direwolf to water, but
You're right. Right. You can lead a direwolf to a nut meat producing tree, but
So how injured is he exactly?
he got clocked. He's at about half of his hit points, roughly.
Hmm.
I mean, he does not
I
look
mean,
like he's
can-
going to fall
yeah.
over from loss of blood or anything, but
can he short rest
yes,
with us?
yes.
Okay.
That
So
should
somebody needs
be
to
fine.
do his hit points for him. That would be Greg.
Yeah, I will do that. And presumably he would, if you are willing to let him. Do you want him to use as many as he can to try to, get himself back? Do you want him to save anything, presumably?
Well,
not.
what would Gamork do in this
Yeah, yeah.
situation?
Gamork
I'm
probably
sure
would
that's up
want to
to
get.
us.
Gamork would probably want to rest and try to get healed up, but he's not going to do it by talking to any damn tree,
Mhm.
apparently.
Well, whatever a direwolf does, the direwolf be doing right now.
Okay. Okay.
It's one of the proverbs. whatever
that.
the
Yeah, no,
direwolf
that's
does
that's
is
what
what the
he'd be doing.
direwolf be doing.
Yeah. Direwolf be doing what he does. So okay. As I say, the axiomatic evil. What's up, Prince Justin? So yes, at the end of all of this, at the end of about an hour or two, you were all feeling considerably better than you were before, and Gamork sort of pads up to the window of your cabin, and you have this sort of strange experience. Probably might be Titus that has this, of sort of looking up and then suddenly seeing Gamork's great head, like just the snout sticking in through the window. And Gamork does look somewhat better as well, and Gamork is and then tosses like sort of his head this way and then turns and kind of pads off. You don't really know what that means, but clearly was like seeing if people were there and then turned to not running away, but just like was checking in or something.
Oh, and before we leave, I would like to go back to the trees.
Okay.
And I say to them, you are aware of the great evil going on here, and that we mean to put an end to it. If we run into it again, we will need something to defeat it.
You do not get a reply or a reaction, an apparent reaction anyway.
I was half expecting it to produce a sword-shaped fruit.
Then I say to the tree, nothing for the road.
The tree does not react. Does not react.
You can't
And I
shun the tree.
Well, and I say to the group, I wonder if it only responds when there is a definite need.
Mhm. Or maybe it's you already got your peach, and so maybe it has to wait a bit for you, but not for me. And Draxus will go up and say, I want something tasty and sour, like a candy, please.
There is a sort of moment of nothing, and then a sort of dark brown nut lands on the ground and rolls over to your feet.
See, perfect. I'll save this for later, and I'll pocket it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, looking at our handy dandy map here, I think I realized something. I think the only way into the vein, as it's called, the cavern, is by the river. Maybe there's some sort of boat or ferry we must take, or a canoe. Because I don't see.
Fob visibly perks up at the thought of boats.
Oh, you like boats, Fob?
Boats.
Oh, there is a way to the south. I think whoever was pointing that out, whoever's finger this is, I can't tell. Right. But the closest one, well, if we were to go the Spirit Caller way, to just directly west, we could hit the Spirit Callers, and then go the river in the north and then head down. I kind of feel personally I'd like to start small first and then go to the Spirit Callers. I'd kind of want to check out what's her name's house first.
Naya. I want to know what Naya knew.
Right.
Because
going
I
into
think
this.
we'll be more informed going to the Spirit Callers.
Exactly. And she was becoming one herself, if not already, I think. So, okay, maybe this is a good move. In that
Sounds
case,
good.
there is a land way to go past the palace and then through the vein. And so I expect that is what we must do.
Okay. So are you folks going to head down, if I understood this correctly, you are going to go like
Let me see if I can draw.
this,
We would if the cave part there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm yeah, like I mean, I'm
we can't wall walk.
yes. I mean,
walk the
yeah,
walls.
yeah.
I think we were thinking more like. Here, I'll be incredibly accurate here. Like this.
Yeah, technically, right.
Oh my God.
Yes, that would also
I'm a
work.
professional maze solver. It's a talent that you do. I'm just kidding. I mean, yeah. You know what? We could walk next to the river, and so actually, if we're walking next to the river and we see that there's a way, like right here, to take a canoe or something in, then that would be fun. So maybe we'll go this way, and then if not, then go that way, or something.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll head a little west of the palace a little bit to follow the river for a few paces.
Okay. So as you head over in that direction, it's obviously somewhat a little bit later on in the day than it was before, although you got started fairly early in the morning. So we're still only talking about a little bit past midday probably. And as you are sort of walking past and into this vein, you are struck a little bit by the sort of the way that this thing looks to you. That there are, as you're walking along, the sides of the walls as you get closer to this thing known as the vein are probably the best way to describe it would be they seem to glitter with both sort of internal mineral deposits and things like that. But it's also more than that. There's a kind of blurring and shimmering about the walls that means that you're never really able to see it dead on. Like, you look at it and it always feels a little as if it's wavering in your vision a bit. Almost as if you were watching it on a very hot day and there was kind of this waving of the heat that was obscuring your vision a bit. Otherwise, though, you were able to make your way around into this the vein proper. The rivers and the sort of little streams and rivulets that you see coming from off of Moonshadow Lake trickle by here. But the thing that you notice as you get closer and closer to like sort of enter the vein itself is that there are a number of guards that you begin to see that look to be even more impressive than the ones that you have run into thus far. I mentioned that the other ones were tall. These ones are taller, and in addition to having that sort of staff blade thing that I mentioned previously, they also carry a shimmering shield, each of them, and it is a tall shield, almost a tower shield. And as you walk by, you get the uncomfortable feeling, all of you, of feeling their sort of eyes on the back of your neck. They are watching very carefully as anyone goes by. You can tell that this area is quite heavily guarded, more heavily guarded than was the case elsewhere in the city outside of the vein. And so, yes. One thing also is that there are several guards standing in front of several of the smaller passages that extend to the southwest off of this map. So basically where you see the little map key, beyond that there are a bunch of little smaller passages, and there are a bunch of guards that are standing in the way of these passages, very clearly blocking entry. You don't know what that's about, but there's clearly some places they do not want people to go. And they're all in that southwestern area, roughly speaking, of the vein.
Are we able to take a boat, or are we having to traverse?
You would have to
west?
traverse. It doesn't look like there's a boat that goes down here. And
Okay.
and I should say that there are where the word the vein is, you can actually there is a bridge there, so you could actually cross over there. The water here does not move super fast, and it's not extremely high or wide. But the sort of quality of the water, the shimmering water, trickles here. And so, as I say, coming from Moonshadow Lake, but it's not running super fast and it's not difficult to get over.
Well, no boats this time. Bob,
We
but
could take the bridge.
yes, I think we should. I'm curious as to what's being guarded that way, deeper inside.
I personally feel that if it's a place people are trying to keep us away from, it's probably worth investigating.
I agree. Maybe we can ask some locals. But for now, let's head deeper.
As you head in and around the caves, Fob, you are used to shadows. What you're not used to necessarily are the ways in which the shadows here seem to shift. There are several times where you feel like you have, sort of slid into a shadow to find that the shadow is gone and you're out in the sort of shimmering light again. And you don't clearly see even how shadows are being cast in particular. Like there's not obvious sort of, outcroppings that are blocking light or something like that, the way you would expect shadows to work. These areas of blackness seem to appear and then disappear again, almost at random.
I don't like this.
Yeah. And all of you have this sense of the unearthliness of it. It feels very uncanny as you kind of wander through. Nulls, you probably would have a sense too as you go through this. You were very worried about and have been concerned repeatedly about the fungal growths and mushrooms and things like that. That's been a big theme. But this vaguely reminds you at times of certain moments of dreams that you've possessed. The issue is not of feeling under threat as it is of feeling under vastness, that there is a huge unexplored area, as if you were walking through the halls of unconsciousness while still being conscious.
Is it almost hypnotic?
Yes. Not in a way where you feel you're going to lose. I mean, yes, absolutely. You don't actually feel like you're going to be mesmerized and lose it. But yes, you could easily, if you wished, let yourself go and just wander here.
So when you say like the halls of unconsciousness, is that the collective unconscious?
I don't want to say yes or no to that. It feels like some of the dream wanderings that you have taken, I think might be the way to describe it. Maybe more personal than collective.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will put that away for later.
Titus, as you are wandering through these halls and as you're making your way up to what looks like more sort of organized areas, this also has some resonances for you. And that is, it reminds you a little bit of the fields of crystal that you passed through when you and Jaraxxus first crash landed on the planet in the Sunrider. You may remember that when you were escaping that area, that the crystals there were razor sharp, and that if you even touched a little bit, it could immediately draw blood. You might notice there are some crystalline structures over here, and those crystalline structures that you see there remind you a lot of the ones that you saw on the planet's surface. But while the planet's surface ones were all vertical, these are extending horizontally out of the walls. And they look to be just as sharp.
Do we have a sense, generally speaking, where this underground location is in relation to the top side of the world?
You've gone a pretty long distance from where the Sunrider was to here. Whether or not when you took the portal to kind of teleport, so to speak, into Celis, whether that brought you back, maybe, but you don't think so. You're pretty sure from what you saw from the map it would be a good distance. In fact, I happen to have Thalos here, so let's just take a look at that quickly. So if you were to have crash landed somewhere up in this area here, I'm being very rough, but let's say up here, you thought that by the time all was said and done, you went down through the Badlands and that you might have ended up here, underground. Now, you don't know if that means you may have, through your travels underground, ended up here. But the point is, you can't, I mean, unless you're like way off in terms of your sense of direction, you don't see how you got all the way back here. So you're probably
Okay.
not that close, you don't think.
Okay.
I have a
Yeah,
question about
sure.
the crystals. Do they that guard's staff that he used for the surveillance thing and the surveillance thing itself,
Mhm.
am I seeing anything that reminds me of that? Like, is
The crystals are the
was-
same color as the electrical energy transfer you saw.
okay, that's what I was looking for. I would love to harvest some of these crystals. Like, Jaraxxus will go up to a node of some of them.
To be clear, there
we'll-
are guards by them.
Oh,
Not
Like-
not 50 of them, but there is like a guard standing in general by the nodes.
in such a way that I think that the guards are guarding the nodes specifically, or have there just been guards throughout this whole passageway?
There have been guards throughout this passageway, but you get from this the impression of a eager museum guard while you're wandering through the museum, watching to see if you're going to be the kid that has to touch the sculpture even though they've been told not to.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. It's too much work to create a distraction or whatever.
How close do we get to the crystals
trouble.
before the guards actually like
You can get pretty
Take-
close. Probably, I
like-
don't know, within 10 feet, maybe?
before they start to like really pay attention?
Yeah, before they give you the vibe of, like sit like cloak, like prepping the type of thing, like where they're clearly aware of your presence. And these are in pairs basically. So there's another two about 100 feet down, another two that seem to be just in this area. And I should say, by the way, I don't want to make the claim that there was like a guard every 5 feet, but there are definitely, every time you bend around the corridor, there's another guard there. So you've probably passed 15 of them on your way through these passageways. And you've also passed other people coming to and fro.
Okay. Jaraxxus will give a look to Titus as if to say, maybe later. But yeah,
Titus will
I
just
guess we keep going and see what the deal is with this big plaza.
Yes.
And then,
So when you get into here, if you're going to wander around through there, the cavern walls are now sort of, they're still present, but they are built up with this sort of yellow brick and stone. It's the same kind of stuff that you saw out here in the outside. But you see it here having been sort of built up the side of these caverns. Like there are these different rooms and houses off of the caverns themselves, sometimes built out of the walls. But stone and the same kind of stone and metal surfaces has been used here to sort of work with the caverns. So out here, they just sort of built it from the ground up. Here, they seem to be working with the caverns that are already there. And there is, as you get in here, a number of people walking around. There is what looks like a kind of a fountain of some kind, although it seems kind of odd because you don't know if you see water exactly there. But there's a fountain there. And then there are a number of other places, including where you were told the basic rough area where Naya Lestri's home was. And that is down this way. There's a series of shops that this sort of that is in this general area. This area opens up into a little, almost like a side, like a little small town street suddenly, where there are a bunch of these buildings kind of lining the cavern walls here. And you were told that Naya Lestri lived above these other places, bakery, and there are two other what look like just sort of residential apartments down here.
oh, Jaraxxus says, oh, that's right. So, Naya Lestri is the Whisperwind's friend and the person who was in the troop. And then Mavra is Elu's sister who went looking for Naya Lestri. And so we should be expecting, well, I think they're both missing, maybe. But anyway,
But I sense that the Whisperwind's other daughter has not undergone the same fate as Naya, and for some reason the Whisperwinds aren't really looking for her. That's what Rel seemed to indicate.
mhm. All right. And you said, Greg, that there's like city streets with like market stalls and stuff being sold. And stuff?
Basically, yes. It is it's like a market day in the shimmering, can still see, but the kind of the darkness, the sort of shopping at dusk and dawn is what it would seem like to many of you.
Mhm.
And are there guards around here as well?
Yes, although they do seem to be kind of like a little more in the passages. They were very much sort of revealing their presence. Here you can see them, but they seem to be in some way kind of more blended into the background, standing further back. The sword staff thing is not as prominent. The blade staff thing is not as prominent, and so on. But there, yes,
And can
there
we
are.
see? And can we see? Like, I know 6 is on the map, but beyond the fountain, where like there are those 3 areas, and you've got the lake kind of going through one of them.
Talk about up here.
Can we see off into the distance what that is?
You would need to get closer to see it. One thing you can see for sure, this entire area is how would I describe it? It's an upscale area, I think is the way I would put it. The
It's
shops,
the bougie area.
Yeah.
Bougie part of town.
It's
vein.
it's the kind of thing that would call itself a collection, not a mall. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's that kind of vibe. When I was up for Boscone in Boston, we went into into Copley Square, and I'm here to tell you, it is like every like Armani and like all of the and like these watch company things and everything. You're just
Yeah.
kind of like, man, really? Like you feel like you need to give them $300 just to walk in the door. It's a very much where the rich people like to shop, apparently.
Well, of course, the artist would live in that area, probably above her means.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. So up in this general area, though, I will say that you can see that this sort of region is elevating up again. So you came from the Whisper Manor, you had to kind of walk down into the city, and you've been pretty much level here. But as you look over here, this is sort of elevating back up. Sort of sloping back upwards for what that's worth. But you'd have to get up closer to it to actually see what's up there.
Hmm.
And there are people all about, everyone sort of quietly talking, going about their business. There's a very quiet sort of calmness about the place, from what you can tell.
Draxus wants to vibe check the guards and it's
official term.
next to insight. It's vibe
check.
I want to make a vibe check.
Right.
Like there's been guards basically every step of the way that we've gone,
Pretty
even
much.
here. And have we witnessed a single crime in the entire time we've been in the city?
No,
other
absolutely
than
not.
the one we committed.
I thought I was going to say, you've done your own. No, you have
Yeah.
not.
Okay. Yeah. So can Jaraxxus, like, just looking at people and like how they look at the guards and how the guards look at them, and if they talk at all, can he get a read on like if the guards are really here for people like us, or
Let us
are
see
they
what an insight
expecting-
check says.
Okay. All right. Natural 20.
Wow.
24. I'll
You
take it.
rolling good today?
I mean,
I
no
am
kidding.
rolling good today.
You realize that one is deeply disappointed that their son has decided to take a gap year before college. No. Yeah, you do actually get a couple things, Jaraxxus. One thing you notice as you're looking around is that the people do not seem to spend extra time looking at the guards. You don't sense particular tension from the guards towards the people. But what you do notice, though, is maybe it's the nature of the hushed whispers in which people speak. Maybe it's the way in which people talk to each other in sort of shorter, more clipped sentences. But while there doesn't seem to be stress between guard and people, the entire area, this entire spot, feels as if there is some uncertainty or discomfort. If you had to read it a certain way, there is some fear here in the region as a whole. Not people towards the guards, but something, there's a feeling of disturbance or uncertainty or
Right.
doubt.
Likely Jaraxxus thinks linked to these attacks, and so it's almost like these guards are placed here to make people feel safe, but everyone knows that every single time people have gone missing, guards have been able to do nothing about it.
It's not a bad hypothesis, maybe.
Got it. Okay. I mean, if Jaraxxus looks at the others, and if we seem interested in like perusing some of what's on sale here, then we could stop and maybe do that. But otherwise, I'm Find
Yeah,
it.
let's
Keep going.
peruse.
okay.
I'm
Yeah,
pro
anything-
perusing.
Okay.
Anything interesting, magic or peculiar or
So
Hide it.
there is one stall that is towards the southern part of this large plaza. So basically like around here-ish, which you can see is it looks like a fairly simple stall. But the fabric in which the stall is covered, and it looks like they're literally selling not just fabric, but also clothing, cloaks, tunics, pants, dresses, etc. All of these are made of this sort of astonishingly compelling material. As you look at it, it looks as if the clothing is flowing in the moonlight or the starlight, the reflected starlight, as if you're looking at liquid clothes somehow. And obviously they're not dripping off the table, they're still there, but it's one of those things like I mentioned with the walls. You keep looking at it and then blinking, but as you look, it looks like the impression is that the clothing is flowing off onto the ground, even though when you blink, it's still there sitting on the table. And there's a Twilight elf woman, apparently, who is behind there with long, sort of silver gray hair, shimmering, and she smiles as she sees you and says, "Welcome, strangers. You have come a long way, I can tell. You do not appear to be from Celis yourself."
certainly not. Do the flowing robes and clothes and stuff, do they, looking like they blend in with the stars and the moon and stuff, do they kind of remind Titus and I of space a little bit?
A little bit.
Okay. Jaraxxus will say to Fob, I don't know, the way this blends in with things, and it reminds me of where we are from. And I gesture at Titus. And I know you like to blend in with stuff. Choose whatever of this you like, and I will buy it for you.
Oh, Bob will excitedly and very intently scrutinize the fabric to find a suitable one, and then we'll be very thankful.
While Fob is doing that, Nulls addresses the shopkeep.
Okay.
Says, "This is absolutely beautiful. What is this material?"
It is infused, and then she says something that, what languages do you speak, Knowles? I think we've talked about this before.
Oh, Nulls is an educated woman, and she does understand Elvish.
Okay. So the Elvish equivalent of this would be star water. That's what it sounds like. And it is star water, and she says, "It is a material that my people have learned to use since we came here. It is infusing the water of Moonshadow Lake with some of the crystals you may have seen as you came this way. When put together, it is clothing perpetually in flow, yet still constituent, existing together collectively. It is, if you will, the way our lives are, both ever-changing and stable."
So Nulls is going to speak to her in Elvish.
Okay.
And she says, "So it's like that hall we came through, like weaving in and out of a dream, but always being present."
And she nods and smiles, and she says, "That is exactly it. It is as if you yourself are part of these halls when you wear this. In a way, my people feel we are Celis, and Celis is us. Perhaps that makes little sense to those from the outside, but for us there is no difference between where we live and who we are.
So it's like it gives you the ability to cross realms at will.
And she thinks about that and she says, perhaps. These are the clothes that are often worn by the star spirit callers, and it is this clothing that allows us and them to feel as if they could cross into the other realms, whether we will ever cross into those realms ourselves. And when she says that, she makes this odd gesture. It looks like she's making the gesture of an arch with her hand. And she says, whether we will ever pass over, and she makes that gesture, I cannot say. It is not for those among the stars to decide what the stars will do.
Is that the umbral realm of which you speak?
And she nods, and you can see... Actually, make an insight check for me, Nils.
Insight, you said?
Yes, insight. And I'm going to come back to Fob in just a second.
It's not much.
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't know. She... When you said the thing about the umbral realm, she just looks a little sad, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, yes, it is a place of some reverence for us, although we are but fallen, all of us fallen now from the sky. It is
But I do
difficult.
pick... Sorry,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I do pick up, though, that she is sad.
Yeah.
And I said, you can't ever lose hope when timelessness is at play.
And she smiles and she says, my hope is that timelessness may cease to be. It is difficult to live forever and separate. But I am speaking stuff, difficult things that will be confusing to others. I am sorry. Perhaps you may find some of the clothing more to your liking. And she kind of turns away, not in a rude way, but sort of in a, like, contemplative might be the way to put it, Knowles.
So
yeah.
I explained to them everything that she just said because the conversation was in
Yeah.
Elvish.
Right?
Mhm.
And I say, perhaps we all need to be getting some of these garments if they have properties to let us phase in and out.
Or and I sort of whisper. Well, actually, I don't whisper. You see that Dr. Jaraxis, his species has like tentacles as hair,
Mhm.
and my tentacles like twitch a little bit, and you hear my voice in your head, and I say, or maybe she mentioned, as you said, these kinds of clothes are worn by star callers, so even if they don't imbue us with powers, then we can at least look like them.
But she also said they're made of those crystals.
Oh, did she?
Oh, yes.
Oh, perfect. And I had a quick question too. So last episode we were attacked by those three like assassins,
Mm-hmm.
and we learned that they had all come from this Sanctum of Spirits,
Mm-hmm.
but they kind of like lost their minds a little bit or something,
Mm-hmm.
and we looted the cloaks from them.
Not the same material.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay.
Fob, while you were looking among the items, there are, so I will mention that there are tunics, there are dresses, there are shirts, there are pants, all made of the same kind of material. There are a couple of what look like sort of special cloaks. And if you talk to the shopkeep about it, the shopkeeper explains that the cloaks have additional properties. The tunics and clothes and all that stuff basically is what the spirit callers wear. And so if you were to, kind of get an outfit of this, you could probably afford to pay for all that, based on Drax's buying stuff. The cloak, however, you have the equivalent of a 500 gold piece price quoted to you. And you think that is because as you sort of put the cloak sort of around you, Fob, remember I mentioned that the shadows themselves seem to shift when you were trying to move in them? This brings the shadows to you When you put the cloak on, you just feel like darkness sort of descend upon you. You've never felt this hidden. I think you're muted a bit. Oh yeah, unless you.
I know it was just Fob gasping in awe.
Actually, Fob being like,
I've never
Yeah.
felt this hidden. Yeah, you hear this little tiny voice from nothingness go, I've never felt so hidden.
Yeah, you all
And then
really
Fob-
can barely see Fob at all. Yeah.
Bob takes it off and puts it back because 500 gold is a lot of money.
Mm.
So Fob is going to pick a tunic,
Okay.
a lovely lizard
Yeah.
tunic.
So how much are the tunics and pants? Like if
Yeah.
you got an outfit.
Probably an
yeah.
outfit would work out to about. I think you each could get outfitted with it for a couple of gold each, probably.
Shoot.
Oh.
So that would be the case. That's why the cloak really stands out as like holy crap sort
Yeah.
of, amount. But none of the others have sort of hidden properties, but they all clearly, I don't know, you feel more like a Twilight elf, that like I don't know if you sort of put on certain clothing or you go into certain places and you feel almost automatically more contemplative and quieter, and there's a piece of that about them. In fact, when you put this tunic on, Fob, I should say, even the tunic, now you don't disappear, but you feel somehow more in tune with the place around you, as if the walls themselves and your material flow at the same pace.
Interesting.
So
Titus-
is there any place around to like make a couple 100 or 500 gold?
Any quick sort of
Yeah.
you
Any
know,
grinding one could do?
500 gold for breathing right over here. Just breathe. We'll give you 500 gold.
the next 3 sessions is just a bunch of Final Fantasy VII battle music.
Yeah,
Like, I respect it. You don't know, Knowles. I mean, like right now you've been sort of given the kind of run of the city to a degree. But in terms of getting jobs and all that, you'd have to, if you feel like it would take a while, there's nothing obviously here to do.
Well, I would like
so.
to get a Starwater outfit.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean like that, you can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Titus, what are you doing during this, by the way, I should say, as these are looking around? Are you just sort of watching with everybody else, or?
So we're basically focused on this one stall right now, or are there other stalls?
You
that
could also
are-
look to see if there are other stalls. There is one stall in particular that has one that actually has more of this crystal. Like you see, basically there's a bunch of these like containers of crystal just sort of piled up. And you can see a slightly shorter, but still Twilight elf, possibly, you can't tell, maybe male Twilight elf, standing behind the stall. And you can see the crystals themselves glow a little brighter blue. So you can see his face is sort of lit up from the blue below it. So you see something like that. There's another one as well that has a bunch of what look like empty bottles, maybe glass bottles, and some bottles that are full with a glowing blue liquid. You see that as well. But it's this kind of stuff. You don't see like, weapons and things like that. There are a couple of stalls that have also food, and there are some signs pointing to several like food establishments, including a bakery, which apparently is to the south near Naya's home.
Are
Or
there
where
any
you were told
books?
Naya somewhere. You don't see books here, no.
Interesting.
Because these people
Um,
clearly are savage and uncultured. No, that's
Clearly.
What's the bakery like?
if you want to go to that, I'll send you down that way in a second. But Titus,
Okay.
do you want to? Titus, are you going to any of these other places or?
I will definitely engage with the crystal vendor.
Okay. So when you come up to it, the guy is like the Twilight elf behind is, welcome, good sir. I have not seen one of your kind before. You must be strangers to this land, but welcome.
Strangers we are, but curious nonetheless. Can you tell me about what you offer here?
And he says, this is the crystal from the walls of the places that you passed by. We would call them, and then he says something. Now, you don't speak Elvish, I don't think, Titus. So he says something in this kind of, it sounds a little bit like he's chewing rocks underwater. And you assume that's referencing this crystalline stuff. but you have no idea what the word is. It's this kind of gobbledygook. And he says, "This has been harvested, only freshly grown of this crystal, of course. With the use of this, you may find many things to, well, perhaps provide contemplation, healing, and health. You may know that bathing in the light of these crystals provides peace and tranquility and comfort for those who know how it must be arrayed and prepared and presented."
I am clearly not from around here, so is there someone who can teach me how to properly use
Well,
the crystals?
he says, "Take 3 steps back, please."
And Titus will slowly move back 3 steps,
And
being a little wary of the situation.
okay, the man comes around to his array of crystals, and he reaches out, but he does not touch the crystal. He has, you can see, these fine silk gloves, these dark black silk gloves on, and he reaches out to them, and you're positive, Titus, that without touching it, he lifts his hand, and just outside the surface, like it's hovering, basically just outside the surface of the glove without him putting his hand around it. And he lifts it up, and it's a pretty decent sized crystal, and he puts one next to you on the ground, and when he puts it on the ground, it seems to immediately graft into the ground, like, and then he takes a second one, so you now have 4 of these crystals around you, and he says, "Now," and he takes a step back and looks, and he says, "Consider, if you would, your greatest and most desirous dream. Close your eyes. Imagine this dream." And he kind of looks at you and waits.
Titus will have trouble relaxing for just a moment. But as he slowly begins to relax and his breathing becomes regular, he will not necessarily imagine, but remember the brood that it was his family.
Mm.
He will remember a time before they went away and how happy he felt as a parent and as a sibling and as a part of a community. And he will sit there and sort of bask in the moment, the noise, the chittering and the chattering and the running around, children playing and the conversation and merry being made. And just for a second, it'll flash to something else, triggered by the memory of the good time is the trauma that is associated with it. And then he's just he can't focus anymore, and he opens his eyes.
During the moments that you were having that experience and you were imagining it, it felt the impressions of the family, of the brood, felt brighter, more intense, not dreamlike or memory driven, but more real. And when you open your eyes, Titus, remembering both the brood and the sort of echo of that, the trauma that you experienced, your eyes are definitively open, but there's a moment where both your brood and the trauma you remembered are there in front of you within these crystals. And then, as if you were watching slowly a fading image on a piece of paper, they sort of recede. And the shopkeeper sort of looks down and says, "I see. This is a journey into your own memory. but it is also a journey into the truth of what you feel. The stronger the emotion, the more powerful the reality of what you have.
I don't understand, but can I?
And for just a second, there's a tear just welling up in his right eye. And immediately he wipes it away and says,
Can I experience it again?
And he sort of holds his arms wide and he says, "They are your memories. You may experience it if you wish. I should warn you that the crystals will not hold their properties forever. And there have been some who have said that wandering through the halls of memory causes one to grow lost behind the locked doors you keep there. If you feel comfortable enough to do so, though, it is your memory and I would not gainsay it." And he kind of steps back. At this point, I would say Nalls and Fob and Jaraxxus, you might all at some point look over and see Titus standing in the middle of these crystals. And you can't see the exact thing, but you do notice images every so often fading in front of him. So that thing I described about the images that were there, you can see those.
Jaraxxus will make note of it, but kind of divide his attention between the two different vendors.
Of course.
Nulls makes note of it and will keep it stored for later.
Okay. Speaking of Nulls, I think Nulls was going down to the bakery. And when you get closer, you can see that there's a winding staircase, sort of you see the bottom of that. Hold on a second. The bottom of this square here. You can see that there's kind of a winding staircase that leads up to above this, what looks like a small apartment, above this bakery, which has a sign out front with what looks like sort of several rolls and maybe a swirling roll or something like that that's on the sign. And there is a staircase leading up there. But Nalls, I would like you to make a perception check for me, please, as you come up to this. 16. As you come close to the stairs, something, perhaps a sound, causes you to not look like over there directly, but sort of out of the corner of your eye. You can see that there is an alleyway right near the bakery running sort of, from the street between the bakery and the place next door. And you are positive that there are 3 or 4 cloaked figures watching you from the alley. Which is a good place for us to take our break. You are watching day 23 of Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks, Shadows and Twilight. I'm very happy that we're back into this campaign. We are going to be with you until 10:30, so we're going to take, I think if it's okay just to do a 5-minute break on this one. We will be back here at 9:35. I am here with Johnny Pittman, Toya Kristen Finley, Kat Rambo, and Zach Clay. Big fan of this group in this campaign, and please do cheer and chat and do all that stuff if you like this. And definitely take a look at the new command Triffid added, which is treats, quoting Dr. Jaraxxus, "Look, life is too short not to hope for treats," because clearly that's true. We'll be back at you in about 5 minutes, chat. Until then, everyone, please hold tight. Okay. So, welcome back, everybody, to what has been a contemplative, I think it's fair to say, sort of kind of session so far. And we've gotten a great quote out of it, as Chad has been commenting about during the break. Life is too short not to hope for treats. Like, there's no lie in that phrase. I think we can all say. But we are again joined by the incredible crew of Johnny and Toya and Kat and Zach. And we'll be running for about another 50 minutes or so. 50, not 15. While we are doing that, I will ask the players. So you just, Knowles, had this, looking off to the side. You just had this thing where you definitely have these cloaked figures who are watching you. Now, as of yet, you have perceived them. They are watching you. What do you want to do about it, if anything?
Have they noticed Knowles noticing them?
You don't think so.
Okay. We're also near Naya's place, correct?
In fact, you're right near the bottom of the staircase that leads up to her house, yes.
Okay, so the bakery doesn't lead up there, correct?
No, it's over the bakery. So, like, you could walk straight into the bakery, or you could go up the stairs to her apartment.
Oh, no. So what Knowles is going to do, Knowles is going to go into the bakery, put on her Starwater outfit.
Okay.
And is Fob wearing the Starwater outfit as well?
I don't know. Is Fob doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Now, just one quick thing, though, Knowles. You are down there by yourself at the moment, I believe, right?
Yes.
Titus and Fob and Jaraxxus are back up and still in the plaza, I believe. So I'm just double-checking on that.
So, yeah, that's one reason why I went to the bakery in a
Yeah,
very
I figured.
public place.
Yep.
So, Knowles has the Starwater outfit on, and she's going to try something out.
Okay.
She's going to try to, because of the properties of the Starwater outfit, communicate telepathically to Fob through, like, that shared consciousness.
Ooh.
And tell Fob there are 4 cloaked guards in the alleyway near Naya, and they seem to be very interested in us.
So, Knowles, this is a very, very cool idea, but you don't think the Starwater outfit provides this capability, unfortunately.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. Sorry, I really wish. It's a great idea, but it does not.
So the other telepathic being would be Jaraxxus. Okay. And even if he had it on, I couldn't communicate with him that way.
I mean, I've communicated with you.
Yes, so I'm going to try to communicate with Jaraxxus telepathically.
Do you have
That's
such
possible.
capability?
I have no idea.
Because Jaraxxus reaching out to you, yes. I don't know that you have that, Knowles, although I'm willing to be convinced if there is some ability that I don't know
If
about
he's
yet.
already made a connection with me through my mind
Mm-hmm.
and has access to me, he's already made access
He
to me
did
that way.
Recently.
Yes,
He did
and
very
recently.
recently.
So Knowles is banking on that connection because it goes beyond time and space and into the person.
I think. What was the ability that you used Jaraxxus to do that? By the way, is that because of being Addendus? Yeah.
So it says it's called Larima Mental Missive. Larima is the name of the special psionic tentacles that Dendus have.
Mm-hmm.
And it says that creatures within 10 feet, you can speak with them telepathically as with the mental missive talent. And the mental missive talent is essentially the message spell, which says choose a creature within range and whisper a message. The target hears the message and can reply in a whisper that you can only hear. So the difference is that the Larima is all telepathic instead of whispering.
Right.
But yeah, that's the limits of it.
I was going to say 2 problems are that, one, I think Jaraxxus has to initiate it, but even if I went beyond that, Knowles, you're too far. I don't think you'd be able to reach across. Sorry. Again, I love this concept, but
So, okay, so this is what Knowles is going to do. Knowles is going to
live in the
buy
bakery forever.
Just
And
go.
that
No,
way-
no, no. She's going to get something in the bakery,
Okay.
right? And then as she's leaving, she's going to be very loud about how awesome the bakery is
Okay.
as she's walking back to her friends.
Okay. So I need to know what Titus Fob. So Titus, are you still in the crystals, doing the crystal thing? Okay. So Fob and Jaraxxus, then this is going to be really important because it's going to depend on. I assume you're done pretty much with the having gotten the Star Water stuff. So then Fob and Jaraxxus, you could have gone wandering around the plaza yourselves. You could have gone towards Titus with the crystals, or you could have gone towards Knowles, or like gone in search of Knowles, who I imagine Knowles, did you mention I'm going to go check out the bakery? I assume you didn't just wander off, right?
No, I mean,
Or did you wander off?
I'm going to go to the bakery.
Okay, right.
So-
So that would be the thing I would say. Like and if the two of you, Fob and Draxus, come up with two different decisions, that's fine as well. But where do you think your characters would go?
Bob personally would go towards the bakery because that involves food, whereas the crystals are inedible.
Okay,
as
Draxus
is Titus.
seems reasonable.
Yes.
Draxus, what about you?
Having already noted what was going on with Titus, and Jaraxxus is also remembering that he really needs Sorium or some Sorium equivalent. And as he's looking around here, that thought is recurring to him. So he's actually definitely would have gone over to Titus to see what's going on, and then also to like see what is up with these crystals.
Okay. So I think then that Knowles, as you're making this noise and you're like, that was the best baker, that type of thing.
Yeah.
As you come out of it, Fob, I would think that you'd be coming the same way. Fob, I'm going to give you also a perception check. I'm going to give this to you at advantage, and the reason is because you know something about hiding in shadows. This is kind of your thing.
I was born in the darkness.
Exactly. You were born.
I'm going to go with the 24.
The 24.
Oh, instead of the 21.
Instead of 21, yeah. Fob, as you come in, you can hear and see Knowles, who's kind of like, man, is that food good? Like talking in a very non-Knowles style way, for one thing. But also, Fob, you're looking...
What wonderful and wondrous pastries that I have smelt.
You can also see right at the edge of an alleyway near the bakery 3 cloaked figures that are looking out at Knowles, and you can see them from where you are. They look very similar to 3 that you had a run-in with not long ago. And you can see that they are sort of there. You can't obviously hear them, but you can see that they're talking to each other and looking over at Knowles, trying to maybe decide what to do. So you're only going to have a few seconds to decide how
can
you want
I-
to act.
Is there any way I can sneak up close enough to them to hear what they're saying and or get behind them?
Okay, so the answer to that is yes, but they will probably act before you're able to do so. Like you can sneak up on them and you can probably get around where you can hear them. But if they decide that they're going to jump out of the alley, they would do that before you get in position.
Well, then I'm going to get in position where if they jump out of the alley, I can take one down from behind.
Okay. So, all right. So, Knowles, you're still sort of like, and you would now be able to see. So, and I guess I should ask this, Fob. Would you make it clear, like...
I would try to make myself visible to Knowles, but I don't, like if there's a way I'm kind of not in their line of sight, but in hers,
Right,
then I will try and show I'm there.
Let's have Knowles make a perception check because you're doing this quickly and then getting out of the way, Fob. So let's see if Knowles actually sees you before you vanish. Oh.
Knowles is one perceptive bish.
Yes. non-natural 20. Yeah, you see Fob kind of like looking and then like into the shadows nearby. What do you want to do, Knowles?
So, okay, where are they in relation to me?
So they are. So here's you.
Oh no, let me.
I can't. I
Okay,
can
show that
only
again.
be. Let me try to like zoom in real far. Okay. So they. Oops, sorry. Oh, where are you? Okay, there we go. So they are here. Here's the bakery. It's zoomed in too far, but you get the idea. The bakery and the alleyway right near them. This is the exit into sort of the larger plaza, the sort of larger area leading up to the plaza.
Mm-hmm.
You think Fob just went here, somewhere into the shadows, and you're about midway. So, Nulls, if you, like, booked it all of a sudden, like if you ran in here, theoretically, depending on checks and so on, you might get here, not that far, but you might get into this area before they could react. There's definitely more people in here.
Okay, so what you're saying is they could jump me.
Yeah, they're not right now. I mean, yes, they couldn't jump, like, they wouldn't be able to stab you in the back from here. They're a good, like, 30, 40 feet behind you, but they're
All right.
not, like, 100 feet behind you.
Okay,
Hey, Dragon.
so, I'm going to cast Blade Ward on myself,
Okay.
and then I'm going to book it back towards Titus and Jaraxxus.
Okay. I would like you to make, so you do Blade Ward. Okay. I'm going to ask you to make an athletics check for me if you have that. If not, then I would actually even take acrobatics here too. If you have either athletics or acrobatics, if not, then just a straight strength check, because what we're going to see is whether you can outrun them.
They're the same.
Okay. So
Yeah,
then,
I can outrun them.
wow, you all brought your rolling shoes today, as they say. So okay, yeah, you book it. They spring out of the alley. Now, Fob, you have a little bit of a decision here because you're up here. Nulls is, you think, going to at least get here, and then you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know if they would keep running after. There's definitely people around here, so you don't know if they would keep running after or not. If you jump out and like shiv one of them, then you will definitely have taken them out, but you'll also have been like, hello, like you're there. Now you can obviously try to hide again, but their attention would then be sort of on you, or you can let them pass and kind of, come around behind them.
I'm going to let them pass and come around from behind.
Okay. So if you do that, then, all right, let me make a roll here. Hold on a second.
I can do a stealth roll if you like.
Yeah, you should make a stealth roll for sure, although I'm sure this is going to be 750, but that's approximate.
23.
Okay. Slightly, I'm disappointed, really, Fob. I mean, yes, that stealth is fine. They are also not at all paying any attention to anyone. They're paying attention to Null. So, yeah, you're able to sort of come in behind them, and you can see that indeed there are 3 of them, and you're pretty confident that this is similar to that group that you dealt with earlier on. So,
Okay, really important question.
Yeah.
Do any of them look like they might have 500 gold pieces on them? Because I am going after that one.
well, one of them is glimmering, and above their head is a gold bag. No, so unfortunately, not so
Fair
much.
enough.
And you may remember that when you looted the last one, they didn't have very much in the way of gold either,
All right.
sadly. Okay, so Nulls, you get up to here. And these 3 sort of cloaked figures are zipping after you. But at this point, there are people in the plaza. So the question is, if you turn around, like they're going to catch up to you. So what do you do when you turn around? There are people around here, like kind of just milling about and so on.
How far away is that shopkeep we talked to with the Starwater outfits?
Probably another 150 feet. It's out here.
Where are Titus and Jaraxxus?
Here, so like at the stand next to it. So here's the Starwater like tunic clothing stand. Here's the crystal stand. Here's Naya's house and the bakery. Here's where you are.
So
Arv, could you drop in tokens like temporary?
I did. Yeah, I didn't want to set that until we knew what we're doing, but yeah, I mean, I could. Because it kind of depended on how you were going to operate. But yes, let me see. Let me see what I have. Okay. Give to me the...
So how many people are in that kind of like square that Nulls is at? Is it a
good
lot
number?
of people?
Maybe
Like
30.
a number. How many?
Maybe 30. There's a good number
30?
of people. Yep.
Oh, so they can't. They're not going to attack you. And there's 30 people there, Nulls. You can just I don't think. Do you think so, Zach? They could attack us in front of 30
yeah.
witnesses?
Yeah, you're right. They're probably gonna tail us and then find us probably attack us at Naya's place, if that
I
is their
think-
plan.
I think I'm gonna just keep
Sorry, they're not that big.
shadowing them.
That is a
while they
very,
think we
very
shadow-
large.
I am that big.
I am the largest cultist. Oh man, that reaction never gets old. Okay. Also, they're wearing dark, but this will work for now. So yeah. So basically, you have these three, although they are turned the other way. Nope. Turned the other way. Oh no, I've accidentally reversed one of them. Okay. No, stop. Pick it and move. Ah, son of a move.
They're growing.
It's like they're too small for me to move them, and otherwise they look silly. Like, stop. Okay. Over here.
They're getting bigger all the time.
Yes. Okay, there we go. So
Alright.
that's basically where these three are, as they are charging after you. And so yeah, you're about here. You would say, Nels.
Okay, and there is a crowd.
Yes. Now it's not
I-
a crowd in the middle. They're like sort of, milling about. There's some in the middle, there's some in the side, talking to people. There's some benches along the sides of this area as well that people are sitting in.
Can I mill about with them?
Yeah, but you booked it in here, so you'd have to be
Uh-huh.
like Assassin's Creed style, running into the crowd and then like, you know what I mean? It would look odd. So you'd need to figure out how to, maybe you want to look odd, maybe you want to attract their attention. That's possible.
I am wearing the Starwater outfit.
That's true.
Okay, and again, the guys are 100 feet away.
They're closer now, though. They would
They
they would overtake.
Where are
you,
they?
Yeah.
No,
They're-
no. I mean Titus and Jaraxxus.
Oh, them.
Yeah.
Oh, those types. Yes,
Yeah.
they are over here. They're probably about 100, 125, 130 feet from here.
Okay.
You don't quite have
And-
line of sight on them either, unfortunately, Knowles.
And Fob is where?
And Fob
Right.
would be like,
Behind them.
yeah, like right here, basically.
Okay.
Like you
So-
look back and you can see Bob kind of boop, boop, like behind them.
If I kind of mill in with the crowd, that gives Fob even more time because they're so focused on me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to speak Elvish first of all.
Okay.
I'm going to go over to some people and say, talk about the Starwater outfit and like how much more connected I feel to them and just to not necessarily the place, but the beingness of the place and how wonderful it is. So like I'm kind of, energetic and out of breath, but that's because I'm just so exuberant in how I'm feeling
Okay.
in these clothes.
I would like you to make a performance check for me. Let's go. Performance, getting some love. Thought I was going to say perception, but no.
Yeah.
The bard better be
Performance-
barding.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Yep.
There we go.
So the group of people that you're with are like, oh, well, yes, it is. I am glad you feel that way. We are all one with, and Fob, you get the experience behind them as these three, cloaked figures kind of like come to a halt and then stop, and you can see that they're staring at this group that Knowles is talking to, and they kind of look around, and there's like people staring at like people staring at the group, people staring at them, like, yeah, go ahead, Fob, if you're gonna say something.
So, is it possible to come up close enough behind them that I could pick their pockets? I mean, like, are there enough people that I could accidentally jostle against them or something?
They're kind of on their own in their own little group, but you could probably, Fob, because they're so focused on what's ahead of them, you could give the pickpocketing a try. There is a danger, if they notice it, like there's no one behind you for them to notice, like you can't hide in the shadows that fast. but they are currently not focused at all behind them. They're just looking straight at, this interaction between Nulls and these people.
Fob has a cloak to save up for, so
Okay.
let's do this.
Sounds like a plan. Are you looking for in particular? Okay, 15. Like, are you looking in particular for anything specific, like a bag or a weapon or what?
I would like keys and money pouches or small valuable amulets, anything like that. Or if they seem to have a very nice knife, I would take that. But that seems...
I would say that as you roll a 6-sided die for me, please.
6.
Money's for fob. Exactly.
A 3.
As you so you kind of reach, like in your stealthy way, below and around the cloak, and then you pull forth a silken bag.
Okay.
And this, of course, you'll have to remember that everything they wear is black, so you just have to imagine this was black, okay, not red. But and it jingles slightly, and as it jingles, one of them sort of turns, the one that you just took it from turns his head. I need a stealth check, please.
All right. Oh, come on, Fob, please. 18.
Okay. So they kind of look around, but you are sort of like, do you, I guess I should ask, do you like vacate the area or like crouch down, or how do you kind of...
I look like I'm a member of the crowd wandering over to speak to somebody, and I'll
Okay.
wander in Nulls' direction, actually.
I love the idea that you come up and you kind of grab it and sort of slide around. So when he looks around, you just see you walking by in the Star Water tunic, and coming up. And yeah, they don't seem to notice anything, but they are staring at Nulls and these people. And after maybe a minute or two, you can see that the 3 of them move past you. And Nulls, you have the uncomfortable experience of these 3, like, staring at you as they go by.
Did they do that?
Say again.
They do the thing where they point at their
Yeah.
eyes. Pointed. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Well, once they're past, I'll slide up to Nulls, and I will say, I don't know who they were, but let's see what they had. And I'll hold up the pouch, and we will examine what's in it.
Is dabbing a thing in this world?
You
It
can
is
try
now.
to make it a thing. Yeah.
Or sorry, dapping. I'm dapping. I want to dab.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna
I thought you
dab.
said dabbing.
Yeah, dab.
Like
Yeah.
Fob goes up, look what I got. You're like, yes.
That's what I was.
It's like, okay.
It's like, what? It's like
I don't. There's
dabbing
no
a thing
high
because-
five, high fiving, low fiving, dapping.
But I just had this image. You're in the middle of this discussion with these people, and you're like, you know how close I feel to you? This is how close I feel to you.
An
I'm just like,
elvish
what?
gesture.
We need our own version of dapping. Maybe like the
Oh,
2
God.
knuckles.
Yeah. I'm in 2 knuckles.
Like
Yeah.
elves
two
dap in this
small
incredibly
claws.
like
Yes,
Legolas
yeah.
style way, right? Like, just like, oh God, that was too funny. Okay, so yes, when you open the bag, Fob, you do find what look like a set of dark silver coins, but these are not like regular gold or silver that you've seen before, and they do not have, like, they don't seem to correspond to currency that you were using to buy the Star Water thing back in the plaza. There are 10 of these coins, and they have on the front, on one side of them, they have a flame icon, like just a single flame, and on the back is a skull.
We should show these to the others because they might be from their place. Maybe.
And if they are not aware of what they are, I'm wondering if our shopkeep friend can let us know. I don't think she would take kindly to the presence of those three.
No, no. And we should also warn the others too, would probably be a good idea. In
That
fact, we
would
should
be a
go
great
just in
idea.
case there's more. So we'll go back to the
Yeah,
others.
so we're going back to Jaraxxus and
Okay.
Titus.
In the meantime, Jaraxxus and Titus. Jaraxxus, you've come over to see Titus, who has his eyes closed and is kind of as these crystals around him. And every so often, you will see Titus will open his eyes, and then you will see figures around him, Jaraxxus, of other what looks more or less to you like other Zek, small Zek, like a whole group of them, sort of running around, all blue colored, like not quite wireframe, but almost blue ghost like, in this sort of circle of crystals. And then there is something that happens. There's some break. They kind of like the images almost sort of shift, and then they disappear. And you can see there's another Twilight Elf shopkeeper, presumably, standing watching. And as you come up, he sort of looks at you and nods. Titus probably doesn't notice you, but Titus can tell me if he would.
Titus is caught up and enraptured, so he would not notice.
Okay. Sorry, I hear my cats yowling somewhere in the office, so I'm making sure that they're not killing each other. There we go. Well, welcome back. All right. Yeah, I know you're fierce tigers. Okay. So
Jaraxxus will walk up very like out in the open, and he'll say to the crystal vendor, "What do these do? I've seen these crystals. Are these the same kind that grow in the caves in the passageway?"
they are, but the ones that this one is using is now almost used up. I have not had the heart to remove them from him, but most of these crystals have been harvested this morning, and they can provide comfort or sometimes grief. They impact and affect dreams, and if you close your eyes and experience memory, you can feel the closeness of that memory as if you were there. I would demonstrate it for you, but this one has been here for several minutes, and as I say, I have not had the heart to remove these crystals from him, although they are about to run out.
I kind of then look down at Titus. This vendor is speaking like he just gave some therapy or something to Titus, and so Jaraxxus will look down and sort of like insight check on Titus. Maybe not having to make an insight check, maybe I do, but kind of what do I see, and like do you emotionally seem different?
What does he see, Titus?
For the most part, Titus keeps his eyes mostly closed. You see his facial expressions and his body language go from what seems like a relaxed posture and sometimes humor, sometimes just happiness, very relaxed breathing, to Titus suddenly getting really excited, heavy breathing. His whole body tenses up, and that lasts for longer than you think that it should, and he can hold it, and then suddenly he'll relax again. And every time that happens, Titus either wipes towards his eyes or his nose, and you can see there's a little bit of moisture there. But you watch this and it happens 2 or 3 different times, probably while you're watching, and his body seems to react less. It's almost like the experience isn't affecting him as strongly as it did the previous time that you were observing.
Draxus will gently place a hand on Titus's shoulder. Not in such a way to like stir him out of this, but he'll put a hand on your shoulder and then just kind of keep looking at you. And if this continues for longer, then he might do something else. But he just kind of like does this and then looks at you and sees if you continue doing this or if you react to him putting a hand on your shoulder.
And the light of the blue crystals, by the way, has now faded. They're just there, dull and dead.
The last thing that Titus will see as the crystals fade, and he'll open his eyes just briefly, like, or just as it happens, and then the last thing that you will see that is exterior to him, Zach, is you will see another Zach about his height facing him, and based on your understanding of what Zach like physiology does, like when it shows joy, like whether like a smile for a Zach is slightly different than a normal smile, because it involves lots of teeth and a little bit of like the jaw position is really strange. You'll notice that there's this other Zach is the last thing that fades, and it's looking at Titus, and his eyes will close again after that fades, and his head will drop for just a second, and then he'll reach up and touch your hands with his paw and say,
I'm okay.
and then he'll look to the vendor and say,
How can I repay you? How
The
I owe
vendor
you?
the vendor kind of looks very seriously at you, and he says, I have seen many try these crystals. I'm not certain that I've seen one as committed to a memory as you. There is no repayment necessary. The feeling you have of our realm, we traffic here in dreams, in memory, sometimes even in illusion. If what I have has brought you something of comfort, then I would not charge for it. Then he says, although I cannot do that for everyone. His eyes kind of flicker over to you, Jaraxus.
Titus will look down for just a second, as if contemplating something, and then he'll look back to the vendor and say,
You have brought me peace of mind in a way I didn't think was possible. So, regardless, I am in your debt. You specifically, though, if this is common among, I owe all of you for the gift that I just received.
He nods slowly and he says, you have not come here to explore our world, I think. Have you?
Draxus
Came here
shoots
by
a look
accident.
at Titus. Yeah.
We didn't choose to be here, but we are here regardless, and feel a sense of duty.
And he sort of pauses and he says, then if you can help our people, there is discomfort, some of us have disappeared. If you can find why that has happened, you would do a great service to us.
We are already doing that. We are already looking. Can you offer us any information that might aid us in this task?
Only one, which is that one who lives nearby, near the Star Bakery to the south, has been missing. She and I would often speak. She was interested in becoming a spirit caller, and she found my
Nihilistry.
crystals of some interest as a result. I have not seen her for some days, and when I went to her home, it was closed and there was no response to my knocks. That would be one place I would look.
We are here by the grace of House Whisperwind, actually. I point at the tabard. And so this
He nods.
is familiar to us.
At this point, by the way, Nals and Fob, you would be walking up to them, seeing him talking to them.
If you do deal in crystals, I have been in this goal of finding people. I have the ability. Are there people in your city proficient in magic who can summon familiars? Is that a known thing?
Possibly, but they are things that would be known more by the Primarch and his advisors than they would be for the city in general. Magic is permitted, but anything which involves summoning or certainly anything technological, that
Of
would be
course.
different.
Um,
By the way, pause for a second. I just realized that I don't think we ever talked about what the heck Gamork was doing during all of this.
I have been wondering.
I apologize completely. I was so invested in what all of you were doing, I didn't think about it.
Yeah,
Was
we-
Gamork walking? So I guess the question is, did you wish Gamork to be walking alongside all of you in this, or did you want Gamork to? Because you've gone back to the Whisperwind estate. You could also have left Gamork there. So I'm sorry, we do need to resolve the Gamork situation. That's all.
Well, we were told not to leave Gamork alone,
Mhm.
so we have not left Gamork alone, is what I am assuming.
Okay, in the city proper. I mean, up at the Whisperwind estate, they
Okay.
already told them like they
Yeah,
know
but
about
you know Gamork is Gamork. and,
Yes,
you know,
no, for sure.
Gamork ain't gonna do.
Gamork is
He's gonna
definitely
do whatever he
Gamork.
wants.
Direwolves be doing what
That means
direwolves
direwolves
be
be
doing.
doing.
Direwolves be doing what they do. So yeah, okay,
So yeah, probably hanging around with us and
Exactly.
okay, that's
You're
fine.
right.
Let me
I
let
would
me
feel
try
he
not
would
to.
be safest with us, you know.
Yeah.
We'll all work together to remember. Okay, sorry. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that
Draxus
prompts
says-
a question, actually. Hold on.
Mhm.
That prompts a question then. Was he with Nals when that was all going down?
I don't know whether he would have gone with Nalls or not. I don't know. I think it would depend on, yes, Gamork is his own wolf, but Gamork would go, if you wished him to accompany one of you, he probably would, unless there was a reason that he's like, no, I'm not doing that. So he could have accompanied any of you, theoretically. Or he could have stayed with the group in general.
Guess we'll never know. But he's probably all right here with all of us
At
now.
the moment now, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Nulls and Bob are now a part of this conversation,
Yep.
so he's definitely with us now.
So Draxus would say, aiding with this investigation, I have the ability, as a foreigner, to try to summon one of these familiars, but I think, which would certainly help us scout places and investigate and keep an eye out for trouble or disappearances. But I think I need something that would be the source of its magic. And I think these crystals might do that. But I get the feeling not your kind of crystals. Yours seem to deal with dreams and memories. I need more something that gives raw magic. And I'm not... Zach doesn't remember what this world's word for sorium is. I don't know if we ever learned it. I feel like we did, but...
Yeah.
There wasn't an equivalent when Titus was trying to figure it out when we first got away from the city in the sky.
Right. There's not an equivalent. The stuff that that uses, though, these different sources are known generally as Magitech. And some of the Magitech is powered by things like this.
Okay.
These crystals, yeah, so. And he explains, he says, there are passages, deep passages within the caves that go much further. And some of those have access to strange and unusual crystals. But they are also exceedingly dangerous and are off limits to outsiders. Those crystals that can be found there do more and different things than what mine do. Whether they are more powerful depends on how powerful dreams can be. But whatever dreams may come, these crystals create other sorts of effects that you could find. I have heard that some of these are warped and some immensely powerful, even with great explosive capability. But those crystals are guarded by not my people. There are predators that lurk in the deep places of the world, and they wait for those who would go through and down into areas they do not know. You would not survive that trip. If there are crystals to be found, again, the Primarch may know of some of them, but to explore on your own, even if you could somehow get past the guards preventing you from doing it, would be a mission of extreme danger.
Good to know. Well, do you have any of your crystals more to sell?
I do, and they have this effect that you have seen your friend here go through. I am willing to part with the crystals. You must put them in an array around you for this effect to work, and generally I ask for the equivalent of 1 gold per crystal. So if you want them to do what was happening with Titus, you'd need 4 gold to get a set of these 4 crystals. And he has enough to outfit all of you, but they are, again, they will run out. Like, they're not permanent.
Mm-hmm. Jaraxxus will buy 8 golds worth. So two sets of 4?
Yep.
Okay.
Is anyone else buying any?
I mean, how many
No.
does he have?
He has plenty of crystals for all of you if you wished.
I did want to address something else with him. I'll think about it, but I'm thinking about it. But I did want to address something else with him. So Null says, "Pardon me. These gentlemen are our friends, and did I overhear you speaking of Naya and her disappearance?"
Yes. Her name is Naya Lestri. We were friends. We would often speak here in the plaza about her desire to become a spirit caller. She was very interested in my crystals, and I have not seen her for some days now.
I am sure you're already well aware that there is danger afoot, and I get the very strong feeling that there are those who don't want her to be found. We were near her apartment, and there were these people in cloaks, and I nod to Fob.
And I don't want to buy a crystal, but I do want to kind of covertly let Jaraxxus and Titus know that Null's almost got mugged by midnight elves, and that we have a coin that seems to be, and we need to talk privately.
And so I say to the shopkeep, since you care for her and you're aware of what's going on, keep your guard up, although I think you already do.
He nods and he says, "The greater risk is when one wanders through dreams and memories. Whilst I am wide awake, I am aware of the world around me. But these figures that you mentioned, I know of none such, but those who have disappeared, well, if there are people stalking our people through the city, we are already at a sense of unease. More of this." And he kind of trails off and says, "Anyway, I will take care. I hope you will do the same." And he finishes the transactions with whoever is buying crystals.
Well,
Please make sure to
and-
mark
and-
that if you wish.
And I say to him, I am well aware of the delight and the danger of the dream realm and the journey ahead. And I give him 4 gold.
And he, sort of bows slightly. So that's to get the 4 crystals yourself also. Okay. So, and those, I should say, will last until you use them. But since they are crystal, they are theoretically subject to breakage. So be aware that if you're like, I sling my bag and let it drop 50 feet, that crunching sound is, just be aware. Okay, but after that, Fob and the rest of you can make your way to a place where, there are benches here in the plaza as well, and you could make your way to a place where people would not be able to hear you very well, presumably.
Where we will tell them what happened.
Okay.
And I will give them one of the coins and ask if this looks familiar to either of them.
Probably doesn't, right?
It does not.
What
Doesn't
kind of
seem-
metal is it made out of?
I would like you to make an...
Lore,
Titus. No.
astrophysics.
Insight.
Man, I feel like I'm never gonna get. A little side note: I'm proficient in astrophysics. I don't think I'm ever gonna make that roll the entire campaign. Maybe someday.
Oh, you never
I made that
know.
roll-
Some interplanar stuff might be afoot.
Yep.
I think I rarely used it when we were just playing straight up Aspergenesis.
I know,
I had
I
it proficient.
know.
I had a proficiency board too then.
Yeah.
Um,
Got this astrophysics degree, and I can't use it in this campaign.
yeah, space science, space travel, scientific theories such as antimatter and quantum theory. It just hasn't come up that much.
So, is that the
Um,
literature of the Aspergenesis world, the astrophysics degree that you never use?
What are you going to do
You're
with
the
that
arts.
degree?
You're the arts major of
What are you gonna do with
Aspergenesis.
I would say I would like you to make a survival check for me, please, Titus. Yeah, I need to study up on astrophysics so I can add more to my campaign, yeah. This is Magitech. Magitech.
How about a crit?
That's pretty impressive. Man, the rolls tonight. So, Titus, as you're looking at this thing, you're not familiar with it. But as you are sort of turning it around and around in your hand, this dark kind of metal coin, you notice there's something odd about it. And then you notice that it is because you can feel a kind of oily sheen that rubs off on your finger and thumb. They apparently are dark in part because they're covered in some substance.
They are robots.
It's a substance that burns, Titus.
Burns on the skin?
Yep.
Titus will drop it immediately and immediately find something to clean his fingers or his
I need a
claws or whatever.
Constitution saving throw from you, please.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'll take a 12.
You sort of sway back and forth and then fall to the ground unconscious.
Do I lose any hit points?
Not as of yet.
Let me guess.
Did this? No, it should be said. Wasn't Fob handling this coin like all the way up to this point?
No, all Fob did was look at the coin and then put it back in the bag.
Oh, okay.
But it's very so you sort of fall unconscious and the coin is right there, so it doesn't take much for the three of you to put two and two together. First of all, are you anyone going to do anything to Titus? Like, you know, since Titus is currently...
Is anybody
Yeah,
able
you know.
to revive him?
I'll kneel down, and that's a good point. Let me make a medicine check and
Can
try
you
to
heal him,
Draxus.
dolls?
Let me see if we can find out what's going on at all. 21. Yeah, our
That-
rolls are.
Yeah, you think, Jaraxis, that Titus is not in any immediate danger, but you also think, as you sort of look carefully down at the, you know, the kind of dark coin, you can see that part of the darkness has rubbed off, and obviously has, you know, rubbed onto Titus's finger and thumb.
No.
As you're looking at this, you realize that this is all over all of these coins. And Fob, you are pretty confident that these are not coins that anyone could regularly be using to pay for things without having the same effect. Unless the bag of coins was put with the express purpose of poisoning anyone that was attempting to pickpocket it.
Well, I am going to not touch the fallen coin, but retrieve it before anybody else
Okay.
falls prey to it. I will fan Titus with something.
And Titus
Yeah, but-
does wake up probably a minute or
Okay.
two later.
Okay.
You get the impression that this was just a little of the effect. If you had been like, you know, holding onto a whole bunch of coins or like trying to pay people with those coins, would have been a lot worse, you think. So
I
Titus,
love
yeah, you. So
the-
let me just say this one thing. Sorry, Titus wakes up kind of vaguely nauseated, but not having lost hit points or anything.
So yeah, no loss of hit points, no other effect now.
You don't
He's back
think
to
so?
normal?
Not apparently, yeah.
Okay.
But Titus, you feel like, you know, like you've, like, yeah.
Titus
Trees
would
around.
Titus would like to use his rig and do some sort of self-diagnosis with a medicine check.
Okay, go ahead and do the
Since
medicine.
he is a medic.
Can since I roll a 21 on medicine, is there some way that I can impart what I learned? Or if
Sure. The
there's-
rig doesn't give you anything. It's not. You're not like you have no idea what the heck this stuff is, except you clearly were poisoned by something. Jaraxis, yes, you can try to make your own medicine check, I guess, theoretically on this.
I mean, that was the 21 I just
Yeah,
rolled.
yeah, no. Well, that was to stabilize him, though. This was you were trying to figure
Oh.
out something about this, right?
Okay. 10.
Yeah, you don't know. But it clearly was poisonous. It clearly is some material rubbed on these coins that rubbed off onto the fingers. It worked pretty quickly. And if Titus had been using it for longer, you don't know what would have happened.
Could
And
I
Fob.
do a medicine or arcana roll?
For what purpose? Yes. But for what purpose?
To understand exactly what the substance is, since this is from our world and not theirs.
Yeah, go ahead and make a medicine check here.
Jeez.
So Nulls, a 21 tells you that although this is not from their world, you're pretty confident it's not from your world either. You would suspect that this is made from substances down here, and that there is some mixture of substance, whether that is, you know, fungal, plant-based, crystalline water, you don't 100% know, but it's clearly been done for this purpose. One thing you can know for sure is that nobody carries around a bag of these unless they have it for express use. If one of these ones were to say, here, I'll pay you 10 gold, and then they toss you this bag, as someone was kind of counting out their coin in the evening and touching every one of these coins again and again as they do so, good chance they'd be dead by the evening.
So I explain all of that to them and say, when we get the chance, perhaps we should ask Levia or Rel about this particular substance and what it's made of.
Good idea.
How many coins are in the pouch that Fob picked?
10.
10.
Now 9 because of the one that was on the ground.
But I put it back in.
Oh, you put it back in. I'm
That's
sorry. I'm
retrieved
sorry.
it.
I beg your pardon. Yeah, right. So 10.
Didn't want a toddler to pick it up.
Yeah, and actually, Fob.
Lucky penny.
Sorry, Fob. When you do that, make a perception check for me. You can do this at +3. Actually, when you put the coin back. I forgot to mention this before.
So 21 plus 3, 24.
Yeah, there is a lining on the inside of this bag. Very clearly, a lining that does not seem to have any of this liquid stuff on it. It seems like it's, repellent in some way.
Well, this is a very interesting little pouch, and I will definitely not leave it on my belt for pickpockets to take, but put it away safely in my backpack.
Okay.
Whoa, that was something.
Sorry
this all
about
happen-
that, Titus. I didn't think that would happen.
Titus kind of ruffles his fur a little bit and kind of shakes it off and says,
It's to be expected.
"Now, is the merchant still looking at us?"
No, you were a little bit of a distance away, like on a bench talking.
I'm gonna go right back up to the merchant and say,
So I've got a question of a different sort with you.
Yes.
Has there been any deaths among the merchants or disappearances?
And he hesitates, and then he says, "There was one some weeks ago, but we assumed it was just a disappearance related to someone who had chosen to leave. He was a researcher. He would often go into the caves that I mentioned, seeking out other sorts of crystals. We all assumed he had gone on one trip too many."
Was he working for anybody in particular?
No, his main work was distilling a combination of this water from Moonshadow Lake and crystal into a kind of oily substance. It was something, when combined, would, theoretically anyway, could perhaps be very useful in substances of control. He was experimenting with the equivalent of things to alter and affect the mind. But he was gifted, and I know no one who knew as much about plant life and how to combine things together as he did.
Did he have a name?
Yes, his name was Rollis, and he disappeared several weeks before Naya did.
Did Rollis have any family, a place he lived that we can go and maybe take a look and see what happened to him?
That I do not know. I am not certain where he lived. He spent much of his time near Moonshadow Lake, searching out different items and plants and other things that he could combine and mix.
Again, thank you. You've been very helpful.
And he bows. And Titus... go ahead, Drex.
Does this crystal vendor have a name? OGM?
Yes. You haven't asked it yet, though.
At this point, we've talked to him enough that I think we kind of have to.
Do you wish
But again,
to...
Titus is the one talking.
Right,
to
I
him.
was
No,
gonna say that.
Draxus hasn't. No, I'm just saying. If you're getting some dead merchant's name, might as well get the guy who's given you memory crystals and.
Right, totally.
My name is Titus Littlefoot.
I am Varellin, and it is a pleasure, Titus Littlefoot.
Thank you, Varellin. You've been more helpful than you can even imagine.
And he smiles and he says, "Then it was fortunate for us both that I came to work this morning."
Thank you.
And Titus will immediately run back to the group and explain everything that he just heard.
Okay.
All right.
What is the group going to do before we wrap for tonight? What is the decision the group's going to make?
Well, we don't know where Rollis lives, or Rollis, where Rollis lives, and we were on our way to Naya's, and the cloaked figures have exited.
Mm-hmm.
So
tonight as it is.
Works for me.
And as the party heads off down to the south to explore Naya's house, the party is not sure if or if not they are being watched from the shadows yet again. And that is where we will bring our session to a close. A very, very cool, I don't know how to describe it, a very flowing session in a way that I really liked. There was a lot of sort of interweaving of ideas and concepts, and a lot of, really lovely role play. Jeez, Johnny, I'll come back to that, but just lovely, lovely stuff. And some really tense moments. I was like, we're either gonna run a combat here, depending on how things go, or but the Nulls fob thing secretly in the plaza felt very Jason Bourne third film. I'm walking into the busiest terminal in London type of stuff. I was getting that vibe very much. And then Jiraxis sort of figuring out stuff, plus the Star Water clothing and all. It was really, really fun to see us back in the saddle with this. I will start with Zach. Zach, great stuff again out of Jiraxis and out of the sort of impression they had. I love the earlier on discussion of when the guards show up and you're just kind of like, and so I touched that thing. I was curious about it, and I like how at some point you just jettison to the idea of, did you touch anything? He's like, all right, okay, fine. So I did touch something, and we get this whole sort of explanation of what there is. But also it felt to me like that was very much in line with what happened later, where you as Jiraxis were also trying to figure out, energy sources, like how am I going to power my tech, being aware of that at the same time that you also know that showing off tech is not a good thing here and you got to be careful about that and all that. So there was a mixture of those things I felt coming along with Jiraxis that I thought was an interesting way of sort of continuing to develop his character one way or the other. How did you feel about all that? How'd you feel about the session tonight, and where will the fine folks find you next?
Yeah, that's I'd say a great synopsis of all that. I feel the same way. It was very cool, very still kind of getting used to how the city works and its ins and outs, and meeting interesting characters. So I'm excited to go into Nylestri's place and see what's going on there. The dynamic sort of building between all of us. We're getting some Titus lore. I'm here for it. I love it. And it's exciting. I'm excited to see where things go, and if we will continue to be tailed and nearly assassinated several times. But we'll be fine. We'll be fine. So the fine people will find me here for this again next month at some point. And then, of course, I'm one of just several stellar voice actors that voice act for the R Vocalist once a month. Right now we're playing the Banner Saga 3, which is a really, kind of the same vibe as our session today.
Yeah, actually.
Really, roleplay heavy, introspective, mixed in with multiple tactical combats as well. So that's been a lot of fun. And then every Thursday, aside from when I'm out of town or what have you, I stream Divinity Original Sin with my friend Maddie. We've had an amazing time. We've realized we've been playing that game together, still haven't beat it for almost 70 hours now.
Wow.
So 22, 23 streams, about the same actually as Mysterious Peaks. So yeah, that's that. And then maybe in other places soon. And thanks for GMing, Greg. You know, as someone who does this as their job, you should consider GMing as a job, Greg. You're kind of good at this thing. Maybe.
I'm honored. And speaking of GMing, don't forget Zach's and my Gen GM show, which is now up on YouTube and is just released its second long episode. And we have short episodes on the way, and we have 2 more long episodes in the hopper that are going to be coming up. One will be the end of this week, I believe, and then we'll have one coming up a couple weeks after that long, and you'll have a bunch of shorts too. So please sub to us over there and spread the word if you're interested in talking about stuff like this, like our GMing stuff. That would be lovely if you could come join us for Gen GMs as well. Thanks, Zach. 100%. Good stuff tonight. Kat, I really loved the image. Maybe because, I mean, admittedly, spy stuff and all the stealth stuff turns my crank anyway. But like the image of Fob, like just swinging in behind the group of them and like following up and then pickpocketing and then like all that. It felt very like, I don't know how to describe it, like Fob oriented. Even the thought of like seeing the cloak where like you're like, I bring the shadows to me, and you're like, oh my God. Like I really loved the image of Fob doing that. And then of course Fob, then when at the end where you're like, I'm sorry that happened, I didn't mean for you to, with the coins, was really interesting to me too. And I wondered how you felt about that experience in the session.
Well,
and where you'd be next.
I think Fob actually is a little chagrined because they were feeling pretty full of themselves at their cleverness and then poisoned their friends. So they're actually going to be kind of solicitous of Titus for a while, kind of hover over Titus, just because, boy, the little guy went down fast. This was a really fun session. I had a great time, and I always do. As to where you will find me, again, on this channel, I am sure. And if you are at the International Conference for the Fantastic in the Arts next month, I will be there, frolicking in the sun.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, ICFA is always a good time. Thank you, Kat. Always a great pleasure. And moving right up to Toya. Listen, Nulls had like, you are the other side of that. So you're like, now I've got the person following me. Like, how do I deal? And I love the image of like, you go into the bakery, you did the stuff. And I have to say, I felt so bad that I couldn't just be like, rule of cool. But I was like, it just breaks too much stuff. Like, I can't just be like, yeah, you can communicate through stalwart cloaks because it's not really what they're there. That's not how they work. And you were too far to do the dentist thing. I was like, God damn it, these are great ideas. They just don't. It's not going to work in this context. So instead, what you did with the whole like loudly coming out of the bakery, and that, I think you made the right call in that running into a crowd of people makes a lot more sense than like you all as a full party struggled with 3 of these guys taking on you and Fob by yourself before Jaraxxus and Titus figure out what's going on. And it might have taken a little while because like Titus and Jaraxxus were up doing the vision quest thing up with the crystals. So you would have been, you might have been sort of like isolated there. So I think you did what you needed to do. That was a very tense series of moments. And there is a lot of this that feels Nulls related to me because of the kind of dreamlike quality of the world and how Nulls deals with dreams like that also. So that was very fun for me to see. How did you feel about the session today? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Yeah, well, first of all, the rolls were hitting tonight.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I know. That's true. Everyone was like 20, 21, 20, 20, 20.
We owed you for last session.
Right, but it works out, doesn't it? It always balances.
So yeah, it is very Nullsy, what's going on right now. And it's funny, you're like, the rule of cool thing, I just couldn't let you do it. That's okay. I will keep looking for ways to break things.
That's fine. That's fine.
I will keep doing it. But I guess I'm just more in awe of what everybody did tonight. Like, there are things that I think of, but then there are things I would never think of, from everybody else, in role playing with the shopkeeps and, getting information or, getting out of a situation. I also was enthralled by the Titus memories, which I'm sure will come back up at some point. As I noted, I would tuck that away for later. But that was really lovely stuff. And then like, I enjoyed all of it, but I really, really, really enjoyed that final conversation with Varellin. That conversation, you know, Titus getting slightly poisoned and then going back to Varellin and finding out even more information and a new merchant that we need to look into. That was just a lot of fun and really intriguing stuff.
Good
And
stuff.
as for me and what I will be doing, I will be at GDC next month. So if you go to
Nice.
the Game Developers Conference, there's a chance that you might see me there.
Nice. And if so, you should go up and say hi and get Toya's autograph and all that cool stuff. You know, but really good stuff today, Toya. It's always a pleasure. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Johnny. Yeah, man. You like when Titus was like, reach it. You, Titus was like, you swipes away a tear. I'm like, same, man, same. Like that. I really feel like within the last couple of sessions, we've had this several times. Titus has made reference to this thing about the brood and the family. And it's just lovely and subtle because it's not something that's constantly like my family, but like it comes up in these moments where you're just like, Jesus, like it's a pleasure to be able to see how that impacts everybody. And that's one where you're just kind of like from a film point of view, like just roll tape, just roll tape, because it's really great stuff. And it gives depth so that when things happen later, when there are sacrifices, when there are moments later, they matter because of stuff like that. So that was really lovely stuff. And yes, running back and getting more information was also smart too, and all of that. So I was on board with all of it. But yeah, like the highlight absolutely was that really lovely moment of just discussing the memory that he had and the trauma right afterwards. And then the fact that you wanted to live it again was like, I was like, oh gosh, like chills. Really, really nice stuff. How'd you feel about today, Johnny? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Today was pretty incredible in not only watching the way that the lack of combat actually happens. I mean, the subtlety in everything that Nulls was doing and Fob was doing, and then just sort of the engagement that Jaraxxus had at the early part with the constables and how that, or the guards, and how that worked out and everything else. It was pretty fantastic. I will make one note of thinking about Titus in that situation is Titus is an old man by comparison to everybody else here.
Yeah.
He's already lived his life in some ways. And so he has a history, and he's still choosing to be here at the latter part of his life for whatever reason. And so that's the pleasure of playing a very old character who doesn't necessarily come off easily as old, but he does. He has had a couple of lifetimes essentially. And that's where we are with him. I mean, this probably is his last lifetime, or his last things he will do in his life, kind of a thing. So
yeah, it's lovely stuff.
The next place you'll probably end up seeing me here. Whenever we haven't talked about schedule for next month yet, but it'll probably be the earlier part of the month here. I am doing a couple of interesting things. Along with the move, I am running some private games of a City of Mist variant that is on Kickstarter right now called Legend of the Mist.
Ooh.
It's got a very interesting Hobbity kind of a feel to the whole thing. At least the demo does. It's pretty fun, so I'm getting a chance to do that. And I will be on March 24th. I will be relaunching my channel.
Oh, nice.
And I will be doing so. It's not official what time it's going to be yet, and it's not official exactly what I'm doing yet, but I have two things that I'm trying to sort out, which is going to be the best thing to do, and it'll happen on March 24th. So
wow,
I'll update you guys next time we play.
Yeah. We'll have to mark our calendars. That's good stuff.
Absolutely.
It was really a great pleasure, crew. I'm really happy that we're back doing this again. And chat, if you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope you did, please give the love to the awesome cast of Expedition for the Mysterious Peaks. Thank you to Johnny Pittman, to Toya Kristen Finley, to Cat Rambo, to Zach Clay. Good work today, players. Thank you so much. I will see you back here next month for some more sessions and some more investigations. Bye.
Thanks,
for
everybody.
now. All.
Bye.
All right. That is going to do it for us for tonight. That was great. Yeah, I don't know. It just sort of, there was this contemplative feel to it that I really enjoyed. And you know, I mean, every session is going to be different. Some of them are going to be just goofy. Some of them are going to be, you know, some of them are going to be like deadly serious or very epic or whatever. But this was definitely contemplative in a nice way, and I was really enjoying sort of watching that all kind of play out. That was good stuff. I considered, I should say, I considered the possibility of doing a little bit more of Chants of Sennar tonight, because I really want to try to get Chants of Sennar wrapped up before Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But I was like, I also want to get, I still have some more editing work to get done on Heretic, so I can send it off to Emily, my editor. And so I was like, yeah, you know, I think I probably should let discretion be the better part of valor and do that. But I really did enjoy this tonight, and I am very excited for more of these sessions next month. And I want to thank Alligator Alley, as always, for sponsoring us and doing all that good stuff. Again, reminder that next week we will be here Tuesday at noon Eastern for Kinseed. That's the Patreon Field Chat Chosen Game of the Month. And then I'll be over on GOG.com's Twitch channel at 4 p.m. Eastern, actually 4:15 p.m. Eastern, for some Talisman Adventures. So that should be a good time. I am excited for that. And then we'll have one more February session, and that'll be this coming Thursday night, when I will be playing more of Chants of Sennar, trying to get it out of the way. I'm having a great time with it, but just finishing it and then getting ready to play some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming soon. If you like what you saw and heard tonight, I hope you will follow the channel. I hope you will check out the YouTube, which is !ArvTube. And I hope that as you do that, you will consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. And I hope, by the way, that people had a chance, if they were watching over on YouTube, I hope they enjoyed it, and that they will consider coming over to Twitch as well. Thank you as well to both Kooky Canuck and to Prince Justin for the subs tonight. Kooky Canuck resubbing with Prime, Prince Justin giving the gift sub to Cat Rambo. I did note that. Thank you. That I really appreciate that greatly. We were in the middle of like a big moment, so I didn't want to be like, hey, you know, like, so, but I did say it in chat, and thank you very much to both of you for that. So yes, YouTube, you can sub to me over there. We've had more subs coming over there. We're now up to a new high over there of subscribers, so let's keep that up. That would be lovely. That's !ArvTube. Doesn't cost you anything, but helps us out. Discord is !ArvCord. Please join us over in the Discord to hang out with us in between streams. Twitter is !ArvTweets. You can follow me there, what I will always post when I'm going live. Blue Sky is !ArvSky. That is, again, the Blue Sky social network that I always post on as well. And website for this is arvaneleron.com. Financially, !ArvShop is the merchandise area. We're going to have Expedition from the Mysterious Peak stuff going up there sooner rather than later, I hope. That's the last sort of the new things that I wanted to put up there, at least immediately. Although we may have some surprises coming up on that merchandise channel anyway. But regardless, that helps you because it looks cool, and it also helps the channel. So please do that if you can. Please also consider supporting that right there. That is the Patreon, !ArvTreon. We're really trying to build that number back up. I understand that, you know, money goes to different places, and I'm always, you know, I don't ever want anyone to feel obligated, but it definitely does help us out because it allows me to do things like pay for the video and the music and all that kind of good stuff that you can see on this channel. So !ArvTreon. Plus, you can get cool stuff for yourself too, like an epic character background written about you, or an epic poem written for you, or even a critique of your writing if you support at the high enough level. So there's all a bunch of stuff that you can do if you are willing to jump on board with that Patreon. Also, subbing to the channel, as I said, several of you did that tonight. Thank you so much. That is really appreciated and makes a big difference too. And cheering in the channel will help our players for the Expedition for the Mysterious Peaks thing. So definitely please consider jumping on board with that. The website for all of this, you know, I have to say, by the way, I keep looking back here. That was that orange cat, and then it was that's Sherbert. Then it was my black and gray cat, Ganesh, who was up there, and Sherbert had vanished, and now Sherbert is back here. I know that I have two cats, but, you know, sometimes I'm always like, have you just, like, teleported from, you know, all of these places? Anyway, they are here, and we're relaxed the whole time. So But where was I? Yes. So subbing to the channel really helps as well. And thank you for all those who did that. And please spread the word about all the ways you can do those things. Publishing Exclamation Point Icarus is my graphic novel from Athos Arts. Exclamation Point Library. No, I know, Trippin, but it's appreciated too. Exclamation Point Library is my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. That's my 5e adventure and source book from Alligator Alley Entertainment. If you liked what you saw tonight from me and you like the GMing that I do and you'd like to see more of that, obviously you can follow me here on the channel and sub on the YouTube, but also you can check out things like the Gen GM show and also things like that I write. I'm an author, so I write both fiction and also game material like that Expedition from the Mysterious, like the Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, which is by the same company, Alligator Alley, that does Expedition for the Mysterious Peaks that we're doing here. So you can do that there. And then Exclamation Point Greyshade. Greyshade and Renegade. Greyshade is an award-winning book. Renegade is the sequel. Very proud of that. That came out about the middle of last year. The final book in that series, called Heretic, I am about to send off to my editor. That is going to be out the summer of this year. I am very pleased with it. I think it came out very well. I'm very hopeful that the series itself will be well received now that the series itself is going to be complete as a completed trilogy. So that is very exciting. If you want to pre-order that and buy Greyshade and Renegade right now, you can do so at that Greyshade link. You can also get the copy of the audiobook from our very own Trent Sparks of Greyshade. He did an amazing job with that. And you can also pre-order the tabletop role-playing game of Greyshade. I had a big discussion with Brandon O'Brien about this over the last week, a couple of them, and I'm going to have a big discussion with the Alligator Alley folks tomorrow. We are making great progress on it. It's going to look awesome. I cannot wait to show you all what the game looks like of Greyshade, and you can pre-order that. That will be out late this year, and you can pre-order that now with that Exclamation Point Greyshade link as well. As always, Exclamation Point BLM, Black Lives Matter, important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Exclamation Point Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and to reach out to others when they need help as well. And Exclamation Point Ukraine, as we move into the 2-year anniversary of Ukraine having been illegally and wrongfully and unprovokedly invaded. We can support them now by supporting that link as they fight back against this illegal and illegitimate war with bravery and courage, and send the message that we will do so for others in the future as well. I think I see who we are going to. Yes, I think I know exactly who we're going to go. So let me just remind everybody about the raid. We're going to do a raid tonight. Very simple, these raids. If you are not a sub, please just copy that. The Arvanauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid, and put that in when you get over to the place that we're going to be raiding. If you are a sub, you can do this, which is the Arvanauts have landed, and then you get Arvany Roar, Arvany Hype, Arvany Switch, Arvany Witch, Arvany Love, Arvany Blown, Arvany Smug, Arvany Crit Hit, Arvany Crit Fail, Arvany Crit Miss. All of the Arvanys when you are brought over auto-magically to this place. It's good for them, good for us, good for everybody. Thank you to my amazing mods tonight: Dragonspear, Drew the Damager, Hillness, Prince Justin, Triffity Mats, the best mods in the business. Thank you so much to all of you. Thank you so much as well for my Patreon supporters and subscribers: Dragon, Drew, Hillness, Prince Justin, Triffid, and Critwitch. Thank you so much as well to my viewers. Thank you to Aqua, to Darksteel Spork. What's up, Darksteel? Thank you to Dyslexic Apricots. Thank you to Jagtris. Thank you to Jonan McCauley. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to Mr. Jonas, Mrs. Dunsel, Nonstop, Robich. Thank you to Rock, to Tarsai, and to Wispy Song. Good to see you, Wispy. Thank you so much to everybody who was here tonight. Really appreciate it. It was fun. I was really enjoying the interactions of the chat as well. And I will be back to you folks on Tuesday for noon Eastern for some Kinseed. So I hope you will stop by for that. Until then, though, everyone enjoy the next couple of days. Please be good to each other, and I will catch you folks on Tuesday. Until then, everyone, much love, and bye for now. Oh, sorry. And special thanks. I always do this. I have to remember to do this at the end. Special thanks to my players, to Johnny Pittman, to Kat Rambo, to Toya Kristen Fenley, and to Zach Clay for being awesome, amazing, and great. Thanks, everyone, and have a good night. I'll catch y'all soon.